Hi there guys, this is Richard, your host with another marvelous video. This time, Top 100 Anime of All Time. We've all been affected by anime in some way or another. This medium holds utmost significance in our hearts and cannot be replaced by anything else, whether it makes us laugh or cry. However, in the ginormous pool of anime provided by the industry, there are certain series we prefer over the others. Our hearts are hit hard by some shows that make us feel privileged to have had the opportunity to experience something so wonderful. But anime is a different experience for each of us. Each of us has our favorite series, so we all have different best anime lists. In this list, we've compiled the top 100 anime of all time to give you a general idea of what the anime industry has to offer. The following list is comprehensive. It includes everything from TV series to movies, from modern magicians to cult classics. The following list is for everyone who wants to watch some great anime, but has no idea where to start. You can start your anime binge session by choosing one of the anime on this list. We're sure you'll enjoy it. But enough of that, let's get to the list. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Number 1. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Edward and Alphonse are left in a catastrophic new reality after a horrific alchemy experiment goes awry. Despite the alchemical principle prohibiting human transmutation, the boys attempted to revive their recently deceased mother. Instead, they suffered horrific personal losses. Alphonse's body disintegrated while Edward lost a leg and then sacrificed an arm to keep Alphonse's spirit alive by binding it to a huge suit of armor. Their neighbor, Pinako Rockbell, and her granddaughter Winry save the brothers. Winry, known as a biomechanical engineering prodigy, constructs prosthetic limbs for Edward using automail, a tough, versatile metal used in robots and combat armor. Having trained for years, the Elric brothers set off on a quest to discover the Philosopher's Stone, a powerful gem that allows alchemists to defy the traditional laws of equivalent exchange. Edward becomes infamous as an alchemist, earning the nickname Full Metal, and the boys' journey leads them into a growing conspiracy that threatens the fate of the world. There are no filler in this series at all, so the story doesn't lose momentum. As part of the enormous plot, each episode is concise, and every scene is significant. There's no unnecessary exposition, and the dialogue is straightforward. There are many side stories as multiple characters are explored, but they all perfectly intertwine with the Elric brothers' story and, more often than not, directly affect their journey as well. Number 2. Shingeki no Kyojin. Centuries ago, humans were nearly wiped out by monstrous humanoid creatures called Titans, which forced humans to hide behind enormous concentric walls out of fear. The scariest part of these giants is that the taste for human flesh is not born from hunger, but from what appears to be a pleasure. After 100 years without encountering a Titan, the remnants of humanity built defensive barriers to ensure their survival. Eventually, however, that fragile calm is shattered when the colossal Titan breaches the impregnable outer wall, reigniting the battle for survival against the man-eating creatures. Eren Eager, who suffered a terrible loss at the hands of the invading creatures, vows to eradicate them by joining the Survey Corps, an elite military unit that combats the merciless humanoids outside the walls. As Eren, his adopted sister Mikasa Ackerman, and his childhood friend Armin Arlet join the brutal war against the Titans, they race to find a way to defeat them before the last walls are breached. Shingeki no Kyojin is such a well-done series that it has all the key points we all dream every series would have. This anime is ridiculously good. The plot is one of the most intriguing stories you'll ever see. Characters are one of the anime's strongest points. The characters in this series fight for humanity for various reasons. Trust, friendship, betrayal, and pain all coexist. All of us are plagued by fear, and it prevents us from doing things in life. Number 3. Steins Gate. Rintaro Okabe, a self-proclaimed mad scientist, rents a room in an old building in Akihabara where he works on developing future gadgets with teammates Mayuri Shina, an airheaded childhood friend, and Hashida Itaru, a perverted hacker named Daru. In between tinkering with their latest invention, the phone microwave, the three pass the time by morphing bananas into piles of green gel. A miracle in itself, it offers no solid help to Okabe's search for a breakthrough in science. That is, until a series of mysterious mysterious happenings spur the lab members to action before discovering that the phone microwave can send emails into the past, changing the course of history. Steins Gate explores the depths of scientific theory and practicality with Okabe. Holding the key to the realm of time, Okabe is forced to shoulder the burdens that come along with it. You're sure to like the characters because they're well written. All of them have likable and recognizable characteristics, which are well described from the beginning. All the characters in the story have a very realistic feel about them, which makes the story as a whole even more compelling. Steins Gate is not just another generic time travel show. The plot is executed extremely well. It is pretty much unmatched in terms of storytelling and plot development. Number 4. One Piece. As the strongest and most infamous being to have sailed the Grand Line, Ghoul D. Roger was known as the Pirate King. After Roger was captured and executed by the world government, the world was shaken. In his last words, before he died, he revealed the existence of the greatest treasure in the world, One Piece. This revelation undoubtedly led to the Grand Age of the pirates, a time when men dreamed of finding One Piece, which promised unlimited riches and fame, and probably the pinnacle of glory and the title of the Pirate King. Here is Monkey D. Luffy, a 17-year-old boy who defies your standard definition of a pirate. Instead of being portrayed as a cruel, hardened, toothless pirate who ransacks villages for fun, Luffy's reason for being a pirate is to embark on a fascinating journey that leads him to intriguing people and to the promised treasure. Luffy and his crew travel along the Grand Line to uncover dark mysteries, confront strong enemies, and experience crazy adventures in pursuit of the most desired of all fortunes, One Piece. As Luffy discovers each new member, you'll fall in love with them. All of them are extremely well developed, with interesting backstories and unique personalities. The crew is always discovering new adventures and getting into trouble as they strive to accomplish their dreams. The main story arcs also introduce new minor characters, and they're just as fun and easy to love as the Straw Hat crew. Number 5. Tokyo Ghoul. There are vicious creatures known as ghouls living among humans in Tokyo, a city of cruelty and mercilessness. These bloodthirsty savages and their hunger for human flesh continue to terrorize the inhabitants of this once great metropolis. The most dangerous aspect of these ghouls is their ability to masquerade as humans and blend in with society. A shy, bookish college student named Ken Kaneki is instantly attracted to a fellow reader named Rise Kamishiro in Tokyo Ghoul. Rise, however, isn't who she seems, and this unfortunate meeting pushes Kaneki further into the human world of the ghouls. After being saved by the mysterious waitress Tuka Kirishima, Kaneki begins a new secret life as a half-ghoul, half-human who must learn to fit into both worlds. Have you ever thought you would root for man-eaters in an anime? If not, Tokyo Ghoul will prove you wrong. The anime Tokyo Ghoul is one of the best, and it'll keep you on your toes. It's most likely to appear to gore fans due to its darkness and gore, though anyone can enjoy it. This anime does a good job of executing the concept of gaining new powers and meeting new kinds of people, though it isn't a new concept in anime. It emphasizes that there is no clear distinction between good and evil, and that it all depends on one's perspective.
To see a cursed spirit this high level here. That looks like a grade 2 curse. Must be the influence of that cursed object.
Number 6. Jujutsu Kaisen. Yuji Itadori indulges in baseless paranormal activities with the Occult Club, spending his days either in the club room or at his bedridden grandfather's hospital. When he unexpectedly encounters a cursed item, his leisurely lifestyle takes a strange turn. After swallowing a mysterious item, Yuji finds himself thrust into the world of curses, sinister beings created from human malice and negativity, after swallowing a finger belonging to Sukuna Ryuman, the demon king of curses. Yuji discovers firsthand the threat that these curses pose to society when he discovers his own newfound abilities. He is introduced to Tokyo Metropolitan Jujutsu Technical High School and begins walking down a path he cannot return from, the path of a Jujutsu sorcerer. From its inception, Jujutsu Kaisen gained a lot of popularity. You'll most likely enjoy this show whether you're a Shunin fan or not. It offers more than just Shunin. Jujutsu Kaisen is not lacking in plot. In this story, the main character doesn't want to become the leader of the village, group, etc. It's about a boy who wants to die peacefully, who wants to help others and make them happy, and who wants to be remembered as a good person. Jujutsu Kaisen's power system and world building are somewhat unique and have an interesting concept. There's more to come from this anime, and it'll leave you satisfied overall.
I, Lelouch V. Britannia, command you. Now all of you, die.
Number 7. Code Geass, and Yakuza No Neverland. Beginning with the conquest of Japan in the year 2010, the Holy Empire of Britannia is becoming a dominant military nation. Having been renamed to Area 11 after its swift defeat, Japan has seen significant resistance in its attempt to regain independence from the tyrants. The Britannian student Lelouch Lamperouge finds himself caught in the crossfire between the Britannian and Area 11 rebel forces. He escapes, however, thanks to a mysterious girl named CC, who empowers him with Geass, the power of kings. Having realized the potential of his newfound power of absolute obedience, Lelouch becomes Zero, the masked vigilante who leads an onslaught against Britannia aimed at getting revenge. Code Geass doesn't have a particularly notable or unique story. It's actually pretty straightforward and even a little cliche, but that's exactly why the series is so well done. Even a bare-bones storyline is handled in a refreshing new way that grabs the viewer's attention. A story like this has enough twists and turns for you to never lose interest. The characters in this series are quite diverse. While some are very plain and one-dimensional, others have an amazing level of complexity that makes them very lifelike. A very human character, Lelouch is filled with emotions, opinions, a unique point of view, and a number of very serious flaws that make him easy to relate to and sympathize with. Character-wise, he's one of the most complex in the series, and he feels real, despite his supernatural powers and a genius intellect. Number 8. Neon Genesis Evangelion. The world faces a new threat 15 years after the second impact. Monstrous celestial beings called angels invading Tokyo 3, one by one. Despite their most advanced weapons and military tactics, humanity cannot defend themselves against the angels. NERV, a mysterious organization led by Gendo Ikari, is humanity's only hope for salvation. The angels are fought by giant robots called Evangelions using state-of-the-art advanced weapons and protective barriers called absolute terror fields. Shinji Ikari, Gendo's 14-year-old son, returns to Tokyo 3 after being abandoned by his father. Shinji battles his deep-seated trauma caused by the loss of his mother and the emotional neglect he suffered from his father. Shinji is terrified to open himself up to another, so his life is forever changed when he meets 29-year-old Misato Katsuragi, a high-ranking NERV officer who shows him a kind of maternal freedom he's never known before. Shinji is forced into action by an angel attack as Gendo reveals the true reason why he invited his son back to Tokyo 3. Shinji is the only child capable of successfully operating Evangelion Unit 01, a new robot that mimics Shinji's biometrics. Shinji, blind to his father's dark schemes, defends Tokyo 3 against the angelic threat despite the brutal psychological trauma of piloting an Evangelion. Characters are by far the highlights of the series. In the story of Evangelion, we see the struggles of the main characters to devastatingly wonderful effect. Evangelion delves into the minds and motivations of its characters, showing exactly what motivates them, and it's what makes them one of anime's most recognizable and wonderful characters. Number 9. Naruto. Before Naruto Uzumaki was born, a demon called the QB, the nine-tailed fox, attacked Konohagakure, the hidden leaf village, and wreaked havoc. The village leader, the fourth Hokage, sacrificed his life to stop the QB's rampage and sealed the monstrous beast inside the newborn Naruto. Currently, Naruto is a hyperactive and knuckle-headed ninja, still living in Konohagakure. He's ostracized by the villagers because of the QB within him, and in the process, he meets both great new friends and some deadly foes as he strives to become the Hokage of Konohagakure. It's an action anime with martial art fight sequences and a tone that occasionally shifts between serious and lighthearted, depending on the background and build-up. There's no denying that Naruto is a hero you can identify with, and even his supporting cast is written brilliantly. It's also nice to see the characters develop over time. Naruto stands out from other shonen anime because of its character development and is probably one of the best in its category. With finesse, it captures both the excitement of being a child as well as the pain of being alone. Throughout the show, the tone shifts between dramatic and humorous, causing you to experience a roller coaster ride of emotions. Naruto is a show that every anime fan has either watched or is familiar with. It's a true shonen classic. Number 10. Hunter x Hunter 2011. The hunters in Hunter x Hunter must perform all manner of dangerous tasks like capturing criminals and searching for lost treasures in uncharted territory. As a 12-year-old boy, Gon Freaks aspires to be the best hunter he can be in order to find his biological father, who was a hunter himself and abandoned his son a long time ago. Despite his initial excitement, Gon soon learns that he'll have a difficult time in achieving his goals. Gon makes friends with the lively doctor in training Leorio, the vengeful Kurapika Baraka and the rebellious ex-assassin Killua during his journey to become an official hunter. In order to attain their own goals and desires, the four of them take the Hunter exam, which is notorious for its low success rate and high death rate. They embark on an adventure that puts them through many hardships and struggles along the way. As they become hunters, they'll encounter a variety of monsters, creatures, and characters. While a story about finding one's father may seem simple, it's the path taken to achieve this that makes this series so special. There are several arcs in Hunter x Hunter, all of which are incredibly well written. It has one of the finest scripts in the shonen genre. The depth and flow of the story, enthralling characters, and the vivid world building create a captivating tale that can captivate its audience for hours on end. Number 11. Ginga Eiyuu Densetsu. 150 years of stalemate between the Galactic Empire and the Free Planet Alliance ends with the arrival of a new leadership generation. The idealistic military genius Reinhard von Lohengrin and Yang Wenli, the FPA's reserved historian. Assisted by his childhood friend, Siegfried Kerheis, Reinhard climbs the imperial ranks, but he must also battle remnants of the Golden Baum dynasty in order to free his sister from the Kaiser and unify humanity under one ruler. Similarly, on the other side of the galaxy, Yang, a staunch supporter of democracy, must remain firm in his beliefs, despite the struggles of the FPA, and prove to his student, Julian Mintz, that autocracy is not the answer. In the midst of the war's many casualties, the two strategic masterminds need to ask what the real reason is for their conflict. Initially, the premise may seem simple, which appears to be a struggle between good, democracy, and evil, autocracy. However, this isn't the case. Throughout the anime, both ideologies are extensively explored, as well as intricate political disputes that are accurately and realistically portrayed to the viewer. There are a large number of characters in the anime. Each of them has a specific role, and each is equally important to each faction of the story. Another strength of the series is that these are not your typical heroes. They are aware of their actions and the consequences. Number 12. Gintama. An alien race called the Amanto invaded Earth and conquered feudal Japan. Due to this, swords have been banned in Japan, and the samurai are treated with disregard. Gintoki Sakata, however, still possesses the heart of a samurai despite his love of sweets and work as a Yorozuya. Along with him at his jack-of-all-trades job, Shinpachi Shimura, a boy with glasses and a big heart, Kagura, the girl with a bottomless stomach and an umbrella, and Sadaharu, their oversized pet dog, assist him. The odd jobs they undertake are not always straightforward, as they frequently run into the police, ragtag rebels, and assassins, leading to humorous but unfortunate outcomes. Who said being an errand boy was easy? There's no doubt that the story is a bit haphazard, although Gintama is certainly consistent in its approach. The main story revolves around Gintoki and his friends, Shimura, Shinpachi, and Kagura, as they do odd jobs for people, argue or fight with the Shinsengumi, drink strawberry milkshakes, and try to make their small contribution to the world. Most of the episodes don't get any more serious than that. Gintama's haphazard approach to the story is a purposeful measure that works well, primarily because it is a comedy series. While there are some story arcs that occur during the course of the show, Gintama never loses its sense of humor, despite its serious and dramatic content. Number 13. Ko no Katachi. When Shuya Ishida was an elementary school student, he sought to beat boredom with the harshest means possible. Shuko Nishimiya, a deaf student who transfers into his class, is thoughtlessly bullied for fun by Shuya and the rest of the class. When her mother alerts the school, however, he's singled out and blamed for everything done to her. As Shuko transfers out of the school, Shuya is left at the mercy of his classmates. Teachers turn a blind eye as he is heartlessly ostracized throughout elementary and middle school. Despite being in his third year of high school, Shuya is still haunted by his wrongdoings as a young man. After deeply regretting his past actions, he sets out on a journey of redemption to meet Shuko once more and make amends. Ko no Katachi tells the touching story of Shuya's reunion with Shuko, as well as his earnest attempts to redeem himself, all the while haunted by the ghosts of the past. As with many slice-of-life anime, the plot is relatively simple, but the attention to character development is exceptional. The story is mature, but not in the sense that it is dark, gritty, but rather in the sense that the characters are fully developed, presented in a realistic manner. Through maintaining internal consistency within all of its characters, this anime forgoes anime archetypes while making their actions relatable, or at least understandable. Characters are portrayed in a realistic and tangible manner that makes them feel real. They feel like real people. Number 14. Kimi no Nawa. As a high school student, Mitsuha Miyamizu longs to live the life of a boy in urban Tokyo, a dream that stands in stark contrast to her current life in the countryside. At the same time, Taki Tachibana is a busy high school student juggling a part-time job and his dreams of becoming an architect. After waking up in an unfamiliar room one day, Mitsuha finds herself living the dream life in Tokyo in Taki's body. On the other hand, Taki lives Mitsuha's life in the humble countryside. As a result of this strange phenomena, they begin to search for one another. Mitsuha and Taki's actions, which begin to have a dramatic impact on each other's lives, weave them into a fabric connected by fate and circumstance. As you might expect from a Makoto Shinkai production, the film is filled with heartfelt smiles and tears. Train metaphors, the idea of hopeless and distant love, and beautiful scenery all contribute to drawing you emotionally into the story, despite its simplicity and generic nature. It's easy to relate to the high school phase of our lives since stories we read or watch in books or films about characters who are going through this remind us of our own springtime. Shinkai did a good job depicting them and their relationships. Number 15. Haikyuu. A volleyball ace nicknamed Little Giant inspires Shuyu Hinata to revive the volleyball club at his middle school. The newly formed team reaches the tournament, but their first match with the king of the court, Tobio Kajiyama, proves to be their last. As soon as Hinata graduates from middle school, he joins Karasuno High School's volleyball team, only to find that his sworn enemy, Kajiyama, is now his teammate. Despite his superior jumping ability, Hinata has difficulty finding his place on the team due to his short height. As it turns out, Kajiyama has his own problems that only Hinata is able to resolve, and the team's success seems to depend on working together. This exhilarating and emotional sports comedy follows two determined athletes as they attempt to patch up their rivalry in order to form the best volleyball team in Japan. It could be boiled down to pretty typical Shonen stereotypes. There is an underdog, teamwork, perseverance, etc. But Haikyuu does a fantastic job of integrating all of these themes. Players' relationships develop in a variety of ways, in friendships, as teammates, as students in different school years, or as a cohesive team against other teams. Volleyball falls somewhere in the middle. You can see why it's so beloved by the characters, and you can see how their love developed.
Bring him back to me! Bring him back! Bring him back!
Number 16. Monster. Kenzu Tenma, an elite neurosurgeon engaged to the daughter of the hospital director, is on his way to achieving the highest level of the hospital hierarchy. Dr. Tenma's life changes forever one night when he witnesses something seemingly insignificant. The hospital director calls him and tells him to perform life-saving brain surgery on the famous performer instead of the patient he was going to operate on. Dr. Tenma's colleagues, fiancé, and the hospital director applaud his achievement, but because of the switch, a poor immigrant worker died, causing a crisis of conscience in the doctor. Dr. Tenma takes a stand in a similar situation and chooses to operate on Johann Liebert rather than the town's mayor. Due to this choice, Dr. Tenma suffers serious consequences, including loss of social standing. Dr. Tenma's position has been restored after the mysterious deaths of the director and two other doctors. He's released after no evidence is found to convict him and goes on to become the director of a hospital. After saving the life of a criminal 9 years later, his past comes back to haunt him. He's once again confronted by the monster he operated on. In order to make amends for the havoc caused by the one he saved, he must now embark on a quest of pursuit. Monster has exceptional writing. With a slow burn style, the pace cleverly captivates the viewer with moments of shock, awe, and depravity, which are seamlessly intertwined with well-executed anticipation and denouement. Number 17. Cowboy Bebop. In 2071, humanity has colonized several planets and moons in our solar system, leaving Earth's uninhabitable surface. There are outlaw bounty hunters, often called cowboys, who help the intersolar system police keep order in the galaxy. A ragtag team aboard Bebop has two such bounty hunters aboard. A great deal of Spike Spiegel's carefree nature is balanced by his boisterous, pragmatic partner Jet Black, as they chase bounties and collect rewards. Suddenly thrown off course by the addition of new members, Ayin, a genetically engineered Welsh corgi, Faye Valentine, a trickster with memory loss, and computer whiz kid Edward Wong, the crew embarks on thrilling adventures unraveling each member's strange past, little by little. Featuring high-density action as well as light-hearted comedy, Cowboy Bebop is a Western space classic as well as an homage to the smooth and improvised music it's named after. Every episode brings about a new bounty on which they're after, and while 26 straight episodes may not seem exciting, you'll come to love the show. As a result of all the different events, the outcome is often unpredictable, and you wonder how it will all end. The way in which the main cast's pasts are explored is one of the things that sets the show apart from the rest. It isn't like watching one flashback episode and then understanding how they are today. By executing it in this way, it makes you want to watch another episode to learn more about the characters.
Let's go!
Number 18. Kimetsu no Yaiba. Tanjiro Komodo has been responsible for supporting his family since the death of his father. In spite of living on a remote mountain, the Komodo family is able to enjoy a relatively peaceful and happy life. When Tanjiro decides to make a little bit of money selling charcoal, he decides to go down to the local village. As night falls, Tanjiro is forced to take shelter in the house of a strange man who warns him that flesh-eating demons lurk in the woods at night. The next day, he discovers that his entire family has been slaughtered. Additionally, his sister Nezuko has been turned into a bloodthirsty demon, the sole survivor. Tanjiro, consumed by rage and hatred, vows to avenge his family and remain by his only remaining sibling. Tanjiro is determined to slay the demons and save the last of his sister's humanity, along with the mysterious Demon Slayer Corps. You don't always need a complex plot and a large cast of characters for a show to be good. Kimetsu no Yaiba proves this perfectly. For fans of dark fantasy adventures, it's like a love letter. While his determination in the face of overwhelming odds is admirable, it is very typical of protagonists in Shonen. The love he bears for his family is one of his most defining characteristics. He'll go to any length to keep his sister, Nezuko, safe, the only family he has left. Number 19. Great Teacher Onizuka. Aikichi Onizuka, a 22-year-old ex-biker gang leader, Conqueror of Xiaonan and virgin, has a dream: to become the best school teacher in Japan. He does this because he wants a teenage wife when he's old and grey, not because he has a passion for teaching. Despite this, there is more to Onizuka than meets the eye for a perverted, greedy and lazy delinquent. Thus, when he lands a job as the homeroom teacher for Class 3-4 at Holy Forest Academy, despite being unpopular with the vice principal, all of his talents are tested since this class is particularly notorious. The students in this class are utterly contemptuous of all teachers and use psychological warfare to mentally break any new homeroom teachers they get, forcing them to quit and leave school. Onizuka, on the other hand, isn't your average teacher, and he's ready to take on any challenge. His students face bullying, suicide, and sexual harassment on a daily basis. With his unpredictable and unconventional methods, Onizuka supports them in overcoming their problems, even if that means jumping from a building to save a suicidal child. Due to his eccentric charm and fun-loving nature, Class 3-4 gradually learns just how enjoyable school can be when you're a student of the great teacher Onizuka. Even though the anime conveys a certain moral message, watch it for its sheer fun value. It'll make you laugh, for sure, and it might even make you cry. Number 20. Dragon Ball Z. Goku is now living a peaceful life with his wife and son, 5 years after winning the World Martial Arts Tournament. However, this changes when a mysterious enemy named Raditz appears and claims to be Goku's long-lost brother. Goku was a member of the once powerful Saiyan race, now virtually extinct, whose homeworld was destroyed. After suffering amnesia from a head injury, Goku's savage and violent nature transformed into a kind and well-mannered boy who now fights to protect others after being sent to Earth as a baby. When Raditz fails in his attempt to forcefully recruit Goku as an ally, he warns Goku's friends about a new threat that is rapidly approaching Earth, one that could trigger an intergalactic conflict and shake the heavens themselves. In Dragon Ball Z, a war will be fought over the 7 mystical Dragon Balls, and only the strongest will survive. The Dragon Ball Z series is epic, undoubtedly one of the most popular anime series that helped spread the art of anime throughout the world. Dragon Ball Z is better than the original. Its characters have matured, and the series has a mature feel to it. The majority of shonen anime stories share a similar concept of overcoming powerful villains. Dragon Ball Z is another classic that most of you have already watched or at least know of. It's an anime that has served as a gateway to the world of anime for a lot of watchers. Number 21. Manonake Jaime. As a fierce demon boar attacks an Amishi village, Ashitaka puts his life on the line to defend his tribe. The beast curses the prince's arm with its dying breath, endowing him with demonic powers while slowly stealing his life. Ashitaka is told to travel west for a cure and arrives at Tatara, the Iron Town, where he becomes embroiled in a fierce struggle. Lady Iboshi of Tatara, promoting constant deforestation, is at odds with Princess San and the sacred spirits of the forest. In a desperate struggle for survival, Ashitaka tries to find harmony between the opposing forces of nature and mankind while fighting against the latent demon inside him. A tale depicting the connection between technology and nature, Manonake Jaime demonstrates how mutual acceptance can lead to harmony. This film features fascinating characters, especially Ashitaka and Princess Mononoke. Ashitaka's experience with the different warring groups in the story is the focus of the story. It is always he who points out the irrationalities of the other characters and tries to correct them. Through him, the overall story is communicated, as well as the meaninglessness of conflict. As with Princess Mononoke, this character is full of mystery and intricately created. Her hatred for fellow humans is rooted in their selfish egotism and hostility toward the earth and its inhabitants. Number 22. Shigatsu wa Kimi no Uso. Music accompanies the path of the prodigious pianist Kusei Arima, the human metronome. Kusei Arima falls into a downward spiral after the death of his mother, Saki, leaving him completely unable to hear his own music. After 2 years, Kusei is still avoiding the piano, abandoning his friends and rivals, and living a colorless life with Tsubaki Sawabe and Ryuta Watari. That all changes, however, when he meets a beautiful violinist, Kaori Miyazono, who sets him on a journey to face music again. During the story of Shigatsu wa Kimi no Uso, Kusei learns that music is more than just playing notes perfectly, and that a single melody can enhance the fresh spring air of April. Although it appears to be a colorful and light-hearted series, its pastel palette lends to the notion that it is just another romantic comedy. Yet, once we step back from its false prefaces, we quickly realize that what we have become immersed in is actually a tragedy in the making. The series is tragic not because of one element, but because of all of its components, and yet it's not about tragedy. The series is about healing, about learning to move forward, and about accepting the parts of ourselves that we'd rather ignore. It's also about accepting that sometimes we need assistance to take that first step, and it's about saying goodbye when it's time. Number 23. Hajime no Ippo. Makunuchi Ippo has been bullied his whole life. While constantly running errands and beaten up by his classmates, Ippo has dreamed of changing himself but never had the motivation. Ippo was saved by boxer Takamura Mamoru one day when he's being bullied yet again. After fainting from his injuries, Ippo is brought to the Kamigawa boxing gym to recover. Upon regaining consciousness, he is awed by his surroundings in the gym but lacks the confidence to do anything. Ippo is forced to punch a punching bag containing a picture of his classmate. When Ippo feels something stirring inside him, he eventually asks Takamura to train him in boxing. Takamura believes Ippo doesn't have what it takes, so he gives him a task he considers impossible and gives him a week to finish it. Due to a sudden desire to get stronger, both for himself and his hard-working mother, Ippo trains relentlessly to complete the task within the deadline. Ippo's journey to the top of boxing begins here. Undoubtedly, the characters are what make this anime so special. Even those that only last an episode, even Ippo's opponents are given such plausible and compelling backstories that you might find yourself siding against him for a match or two. And how these characters are just so serious with their lives that you really feel it, and you end up believing that such a world could actually exist out there. Number 24. Howl no Ugoku Shiro. As that jumbled piece of architecture moves, smoke billows from its joints as it hisses and creaks. It is the castle that houses the magnificent wizard Howl, known both for his magical prowess and for his womanizing ways, as the rumor goes in Sophie Hatter's small town. As the plain daughter of a hat maker, Sophie is content to work hard in the shop and does not have high expectations for her future. When Sophie finds herself caught up in a disturbing situation and the mysterious wizard arrives to save her, Sophie's life takes an exciting turn. This brief encounter, however, spurs the vain and revengeful Witch of the Waste, angered by a past discord with Howl, to turn the maiden into an old woman through a curse. A raging war tears their kingdom apart, so Sophie must embark on a dangerous adventure with Howl and a variety of eccentric companions, from a powerful fire demon to a hopping scarecrow, to return to normal life. As you watch Miyazaki's films, you'll soon be buoyed by his gentleness, visual exuberance, unshowy intelligence, and emotional literacy. Ultimately, it's a film for everyone. As Miyazaki reminds us once again, love is the ultimate force for change, and no other animated film has managed to capture its essence as accurately and vividly as Howl no Ugoku Shiro.
負けは絶対のルール。プライドの高い両者において自ら告白することなどあってはならない。
Number 25. Kaguya-sama wa Kokurasetai, Tensai-tachi no Renai, Zunousen. Miyuki Shirogane and Kaguya Shinomiya are the students' top representatives at Shuchin Academy. As the president of the student council, Miyuki is recognized as a top student in the country and respected by peers and mentors alike. Kaguya, the eldest daughter of the wealthy Shinomiya family, excels alongside him in a wide range of fields. The entire student body envies them, calling them the perfect couple. Although both have feelings for the other, neither is willing to admit it. The first one to confess will lose, be looked down upon, and be considered less than. Miyuki and Kaguya are equally determined to emerge victorious on the battlefield of love, their honor and pride at stake. Miyuki and Kaguya have astronomical IQs, but to keep their hearts from breaking, they do the most heinous things. The story is excruciatingly relatable. Even their failures are entertaining to watch since their approach to love is so misguided, but their mind games are amusing. They are both walking disasters. Irony, sarcasm, and other sarcastic supporting characters are employed in the show to mock them for this. With its wildly contrasting tones, visual excitement, and music, it creates a dynamic comedic experience. Throughout the series, there is a lot of character interaction, as well as a silent monologue in our two main characters' heads. The catch is that the inner selves of the characters differ from what they appear to others in real life.
No way! There's no way I'm going to let you die!
Number 26. Violet Evergarden. Having lasted 4 long years, the Great War finally came to an end. Fractured in two, the continent of Telesis slowly began to flourish again. It was Violet Evergarden, a young girl raised solely for the purpose of decimating enemy lines, who was caught up in the bloodshed. After being wounded in a bloody battle during the final phase of the war, she was left with only the words from the person she loved most, but without understanding what they meant. After falling out with her new intended guardian family, Violet starts a new life working at CH Postal Services after recovering from her injuries. She discovers by pure chance the work of an auto-memory doll, machines that transcribe people's thoughts and feelings into words. The idea moves Violet into a career as an auto-memory doll, a job that will take her on an adventure that will reshape the lives of her clients and hopefully lead to her self-discovery. We know that life is not meant to be rushed. Every happy moment must be savored, each hardship must be embraced, and each of us has our own battle. Hence, the pace is slow, which is appropriate for our characters and Violet's development. This is a love letter to life, a lesson about overcoming obstacles and moving on, and it improves with each episode, just as wine gets better with age. This show stands out due to its concise characters and well-written stories. In this way, viewers are given a sense of fulfillment. Sento Chihiro no Kamigakushi. The 10-year-old Chihiro Agino, stubborn, spoiled and naive, is less than pleased when on the way to a new house, her parents discover an abandoned amusement park. Venturing inside cautiously, she finds that this place holds more than meets the eye, as strange things begin to happen after dusk. A ghostly apparition and food that turns her parents into pigs are just the beginning of Chihiro's unwitting trip into the spirit world. Assisted by the mysterious Haku and the cast of unique characters she meets along the way, she must summon the courage to live among spirits. Sento Chihiro no Kamikagushi tells Chihiro's story as she navigates through an unfamiliar world, trying to save both her parents and return home. Children are the very definition of mysterious wonder and awe-inspiring imagination. There have been moments in life when we've gone off into our own little world of childlike imagination and tried to experience an entirely new reality. Several films have attempted to recreate the nostalgic feeling of reliving childhood in a way that either succeeded or failed. Miyazaki is the kind of man who can do that flawlessly. This isn't a grand film with lots of bells and whistles. An ordinary girl in a strange world is portrayed in a quiet, subdued way in this story. Take a moment and appreciate the world and story Miyazaki has crafted for us to enjoy, rather than expecting something huge. Number 28. Bleach. A high school student named Ichigo Kurosaki finds his family attacked by a corrupt spirit called a Hollow, which seeks to devour human souls. After this, he meets a Soul Reaper named Rukia Kuchiki, who becomes injured while protecting Ichigo's family from an assailant. Ichigo accepts Rukia's offer to take her powers and becomes a Soul Reaper. Rukia, however, is unable to regain her powers, so Ichigo is given the task of hunting down the Hollows. Nonetheless, he is not alone in his fight, as he is later joined by his classmates Orihime Inui, Yasutora Seido, and Uryu Ishida, all of whom possess their own special abilities. Ichigo learns that the Hollows are not the only threat to the human world, as he and his comrades adjust to their new roles on and off the battlefield. Bleach is one of the best animes. You're left wondering what will happen next from the moment you watch it. Both the action and the humor are excellent. It has a gripping storyline, plot twists are plentiful, the cast of characters in this anime is excellent. Bleach is one of the first names that pop into anime watchers' heads when we talk about shonen anime, and for a good reason. Watching this anime is a great combination of action, adventure, and comedy. It is a must-see for fans of anime. The anime Bleach is probably one of the greatest anime series today. Number 29. Given. Mafuyu Satoo, clutching his Gibson guitar tightly, walks out of his dark apartment to begin another day of high school. The student has a chance encounter with fellow student Ritsuka Unoyama on the gymnasium stairway as he takes a nap. Unoyama berates him for letting the strings of his guitar rust and break. Satoo notices Unoyama's knowledge of the instrument, and he demands that he teach him how to play it and fix it. Unoyama eventually agrees and invites him to the band's jam session with Haruki Nakayama and Akihiko Kaji on bass and drums, respectively. As a result of Satoo's striking voice, Unoyama is determined to make Satoo the lead singer of the band. Satoo accepts the offer after an emotional meeting with an old friend, despite being reticent at first. Satoo must learn how to play the guitar with the help of his new friends, but also deal with the mysterious circumstances that led him to own it. Given strikes a rare balance between being openly gay and not overdoing eroticism in order to appeal to a niche audience. This is a sweet, realistic, down-to-earth romance that anyone who is open-minded to love that goes beyond conventional desires can enjoy. Characterization is unusual in a single-course romance, but Given makes this a strong point. Every bandmate has practical goals, motivations, and backstories that are woven into the narrative as the episodes progress, rather than forced into a short period of time. Number 30. Ansatsu Kiyoshitsu. The students of Kuniji Gaoka Middle School are confronted with an impressive challenge when a mysterious creature chops down the moon to a permanent crescent, assassinating the creature before Earth suffers the same fate. Despite this, the monster, dubbed Kuro-sensei, can fly at speeds up to Mach 20, which he exhibits freely, leaving any attempt to subdue him in his dust. In addition, the misfits of 3E soon discover that the strange beast isn't just indomitable, he's the best teacher they ever had. In Ansatsu Kiyoshitsu, junior high pupils polish their assassination skills as they struggle to stand strong against an oppressive school system, their own personal problems, and one day, Koro-sensei. Among the anime and manga industries, this anime has one of the most unique and original stories and utilizes its main theme of assassination and education to its greatest advantage, allowing it to develop and characterize its remarkably large cast while expressing many other notable themes such as friendship, class and discrimination, failure and defeat, and human perseverance. In Assassination Classroom, there are many underlying didactic and morally powerful lessons, which are not only motivational but also inspirational. In addition to helping the students individually with their personal and educational troubles, Koro-sensei also seeks out their problems and shows them the beauty and bonds they share through assassination and education. Number 31. Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. Simon and Kamina grew up in a deep underground village, hidden from the surface. A timid youth, Simon has no real ambitions, while Kamina is a free-spirited loose cannon bent on establishing himself as a legend. Simon stumbles on a mysterious object while excavating the earth one day, which turns out to be the ignition key for a war artifact that the pair dubbed Lagann. With the help of Yoko Litna, who wields a massive gun and roams the world above, Simon and Kamina combat a surprise attack from the surface with their new weapon. As a result of the battle, the sky now appears in plain sight, which prompts Simon and Kamina to set out on a journey with Yoko in search of the wastelands on the surface. They join the fight to rid Earth of beastmen, humanoid creatures that terrorize human survivors as powerful robots called gunmen. Despite losing some battles and suffering setbacks, the trio battles these enemies while slowly unraveling a galaxy-sized mystery. Although Tengen Toppa has an amazing story, it's not about the story. This isn't a logical progression, strategy, conflict of interests, world building, sci-fi exploration, or any of the other ideas in it. It's about the deconstruction of them all. Aspects of the show arouse and reinforce the viewer's zeal for this cause. Tengen Toppa is also excellent at moving people emotionally. When you watch it, you'll laugh, cry, and be moved. Number 32, Death Note. As a god of death, Shinigami can kill anyone as long as they see the face of the victim and write the victim's name in a notebook called a Death Note. Ryuk, bored with his Shinigami way of life and curious to see what a human would do with a Death Note, swung into the human realm one day. After stumbling upon the Death Note, prodigy student Light Yagami tests it by writing in the name of a criminal, since he deplores the state of the world. After the criminal dies as a result of his experiment with the Death Note, Light is greatly surprised and realizes the power that he now possesses can be devastating. As a result of this divine power, Light decides to extinguish all criminals in order to create a world with no crime and people worshipping him as a god. However, the police soon realize that a serial killer is targeting criminals and consequently attempting to apprehend the perpetrator. In order to accomplish this, the Japanese investigators enlist the assistance of the world's best detective, a young, eccentric man known only as L. You want to watch Light's conquests and failures for his charismatic yet demented character. The quirky yet highly intelligent qualities of L do the same for you. In their own way, both are likable and unique. Once you finish this anime, you'll wonder what you would have done with a Death Note. People will debate and question the actions of Light. The anime shines due to its talkability and complexity, in addition to its ability to build suspense and anticipation in its viewers. Number 33, Ukami Kodomo no Ame to Yuki. Hana, a college student who works hard, falls in love with a man who attends one of her classes, but isn't actually a student. It turns out that he isn't really human either. As he transforms on a full moon night, he reveals that he is the last living werewolf. But Hana's love remains strong, and they decide they want to start a family. Her daughter, Ame, born during the rains, and her son, Yuki, born during the snow, both develop the ability to turn into wolves, a trait they inherited from their father. Hana's life is shattered by the sudden death of her lover, leaving her to raise a family by herself. While raising Ame and Yuki in a densely populated city, all the while keeping their identity a secret, her stress culminates in a decision to move to the countryside, where she hopes to escape society's judgments. In this heartwarming story, we learn how it is to be a single mother in an unforgiving world. Fantasy is handled delicately and gently so as not to overwhelm the story. Transformation hijinks and forced humor or drama are absent. The wolf children are treated naturally. They seamlessly change from wolf to human form and back again. These transformations as they move into and out of their dual identities are some of the best scenes in the movie. Viewers are easily captivated by Ukami Kodomo's characters. The character of Hana is one of the most inspiring to be made into an animated film. Her love for her family is evident.
Is that fish in the sky?
Number 34, Tenki Noko. Currently, rain showers are disrupting the usual pace of life in Tokyo to no end. Odaka Marishima, a runaway high school student struggling to survive, ends up working for a small publishing company in the midst of this seemingly endless downpour. Meanwhile, Hina Amano struggles to find work in order to support her younger brother and herself. Hodaka and Hina's fates intersect when Hodaka tries to rescue Hina from shady men and decides to run away together. Hodaka learns that Hina has a strange but astonishing power, the ability to call out the sun every time she prays for it. Due to Tokyo's unusual weather, Hodaka is amazed at this ability. Hina is advised to become the Sunshine Girl, a person who clears the sky for those in need when they are in need. At first, things look up for them. Despite this, power always comes with a hefty price. As a result of having this power, a girl who can eliminate rain by praying uses it to her advantage, providing a well-paced storyline as well as a range of realistic yet interesting issues that arise. In a way, the characters in this film are refreshing because they're not stupid or over the top. They are two teenagers, each with their own problems. One tries to fit in a strange new environment, the other tries to support her family. It's refreshing and realistic to see the interactions between the two main characters with nuances that make all the difference and propel the plot forward.
It's on!
Number 35, Jojo no Kimyu Nabuken. George Joestar, an English nobleman, was saved by Dario Brando in 1868. It is George's intention to pay back the debt he owes his savior by taking in Dario's son Dio when he becomes fatherless. But Dio, dissatisfied with his position in life, aspires to claim the Joestar house for himself. He uses an Aztec stone mask with supernatural properties to attack George and his son, Jonathan Jojo Joestar, and sets in motion a series of events that will echo through the ages. Joseph Joestar, Jonathan's grandson, discovers the legacy his grandfather left him in New York City half a century later. An archaeological dig reveals the truth behind the stone mask, revealing he is the only one capable of defeating the Pillar Men, mystical beings of unimaginable power who inadvertently created everything. Jojo no Kimyu Nabuken details the many thrilling expeditions that Jojo and his descendants take. You'll always have plenty of bizarre adventures, whether you're facing off with the evil Dio or battling the sinister Pillar Men. In this anime, the story and characters are well developed to the point that it feels so natural with a lot of the characters who have strengths and weaknesses throughout the show. An anime full of style, charisma, and self-awareness. This title proves that you don't need complexity to create an engaging story, so long as you're committed and there's passion behind it. Number 36, Psycho Pass. The enforcement of justice has changed. During the 22nd century, Japan enacted the Sybil system, a means of objectively determining a citizen's criminal potential through an examination of their mental state, known as their Psycho Pass. Despite this, there are the enforcers, jaded inspectors who have become latent criminals, granted relative freedom in exchange for carrying out inspectors' dirty work. Akane Tsunemori enters this world with a sincere desire to uphold justice. She quickly discovers, however, while working alongside veteran enforcer Shinya Kugami, that the civil system's judgments aren't as accurate as her fellow inspectors think they are. As everything she knows is turned upside down, Akane wrestles with the question of what justice really is and whether it can be upheld through a system that may already be corrupt. It's primarily a police sci-fi series set in the near future. It sounds somewhat cliche, but Psycho Pass manages to mix in a variety of genres without becoming too confusing. In this story, crime, action, intelligence, and mental stability are all equally important, and the plot is continuous and shows growth in the characters and direction. A story is nothing without its characters, and this is another aspect where Psycho Pass excels. In Psycho Pass, all of the main characters have their stories resolved. At no point or very little time do you question a main character's past. Number 37, Yakuza No Neverland. Gracefield House is surrounded by a forest and has a gated entrance and is inhabited by orphans who live as one big family under the care of Mama, Isabella. Even though the children are required to take daily tests, they are allowed to spend time however they choose, such as playing outside, as long as they do not stray too far from the orphanage. The good times must, however, end, as every few months a child is adopted and sent to live with its new family, never to be heard from again. The three oldest siblings, however, have their suspicions about what is actually happening at the orphanage, and soon they will learn the cruel fate in store for the children at Gracefield, as well as Mama's twisted nature. The narrative is continuous and straightforward from start to finish. At the same time, it's both complex and simplistic. Characters and settings fit well together in the story. A well-constructed plot is an interesting aspect of the story. It's an anime that connects continuously, episode by episode. All the elements of the story are well executed. In this anime, the characters are a huge part of what makes you enjoy it so much. They are very intelligent and more intelligent than their own age group. Their behavior ranges from rational to emotional, and they do it well.
He has an ambitious program with 4 quads planned.
Number 38, Yuri On Ice. Yuri Katsuki, once Japan's best-known figure skater, returns home after his crushing defeat at the Grand Prix finale to consider his options. Yuri's chances of succeeding at skating are dwindling at the age of 23, and his love of pork cutlets and propensity to gain weight don't help either. When a video of Yuri performing a routine previously executed by Viktor Nikiforov goes viral, Yuri finds himself in the spotlight. Yuri is shocked to see Viktor appear at his home and offer to be his mentor. Yuri readily accepts, beginning his journey to return to the international stage. Meanwhile, the rising star from Russia, Yuri Plizetsky, is relentlessly determined to defeat Yuri and regain Viktor's tutelage. Yuri On Ice is an original TV anime that doesn't have adaptation problems. There's a competitive sports atmosphere in the show, but every so often the audience will notice character relationships. At times they can be fierce. At the show's core are Yuri and Viktor. The way it takes advantage of the competition, characters, visual dynamics, themes, and directing is worth every second. The pacing is also quite good since it doesn't waste too much time getting to the point. The comedy comedy is straightforward as well, and although it can be a bit awkward at times, it still delivers with the character chemistry and the reactions of the characters. Retrospectively, it's a show that is here to entertain.
Oh, look! They're looking this way. If you're always looking so sad, you won't make any...
Number 39, Clannad. A delinquent named Tomoya Okazaki believes he will never amount to anything and finds life boring. He and his friend Yue Sonohara plan to waste their high school days away by skipping school. As Tomoya walks to school one day, he passes a young girl muttering quietly to herself. She yells, "Anpan!" without warning, catching Tomoya's attention. Nagisa Furukawa is the girl's name, and she exclaims things she likes to motivate herself. Nagisa declares that they are now friends. Tomoya walks away, passing the encounter off as nothing. As time passes, Tomoya begins to notice Nagisa more and more around the school. In the end, he agrees to befriend her. Tomoya finds out that Nagisa has been away from school for a year because of a severe illness and dreams of reviving the school's drama club. He decides that he has nothing better to do and, along with 4 other girls, helps her achieve her goal. Tomoya spends more time with the girls and he learns more about their problems as he gets to know them. By helping each girl overcome her obstacle, he realizes life isn't as dull as he once thought. Clannad does an amazing job with the characters once they've been introduced. Aside from their struggles being depicted in a gripping, compelling way, they are also shown to become strong individuals who stand by their friends and who are able to face the world and its challenges with greater openness.
Now how am I going to punish you? Because it is your fault, after all. Your quota is now 1,000!
Number 40, Uran Kuku Host Club. Uran Academy is a prestigious school for students with a high pedigree, but Haruhi Fujioka is a bright scholarship candidate with no title or rank to speak of. While searching for a quiet place to study, Haruhi stumbles upon the Host Club when she opens the door to Music Room Number 3. Suu Tamaki leads the illustrious club that is composed of the princely Utori Kyuya, the mischievous Hitachin twins, Kaoru and Hikaru, the childlike Haninozuka Mitsukuni, as well as his strong protector Morinozuka Takashi, are handsome boys with too much free time entertaining the academy's girls. As Haruhi frantically tries to flee from the hosts, she breaks an 8 million yen vase and has to become their general errand boy in order to pay back her debts. Due to her convincingly masculine appearance, her naturally friendly disposition toward girls, and her intriguing commoner status, she soon becomes the full-time host. As a result, Haruhi is thrown into a glitzy whirlwind of elaborate cosplay, delicious food, and outrageous antics that only the immensely wealthy host club can manage. Throughout the show, the fourth wall is rarely standing. Occasionally, this show will try to target your heartstrings, and it almost always succeeds. It's a little corny, but for the most part, the cast is likable and makes the anime incredibly heartwarming. It's easy to develop a favorite host, but there isn't a single member of the cast who's unentertaining or who outstays their welcome. Number 41, Mob Psycho 100. Shijio Mob Kajiyama, an 8th grader, has developed a considerable amount of psychic ability at such a young age. He soon realizes that his abilities could prove dangerous as he realizes how powerful he is. Mob suppresses his power, so the only thing he uses it for is to impress his longtime crush Tsubomi, whose boredom soon sets in. He enlists Arataka Rigen, a con artist who claims to be a psychic, in order to exert control over his abilities. In Mob's day-to-day routine, exorcising evil spirits has become a routine part of his life. While he exerts psychic energy, it is only a tip of the iceberg. If his unrestrained emotions run berserk, a cataclysmic event would occur that would render him unrecognizable. It is impossible to stop the progress toward Mob's explosion. Mob Psycho 100 can be described in a million ways. In one word, it's exciting. First, the story may seem simplistic, and in the beginning it is, but the series begins to explore a variety of topics, such as morality and what it means to be different. However, the story is not just about Mob alone, also about other characters. Mob Psycho 100 looks and feels very different. Style-wise, it's very over-the-top, exaggerated and weird, and it fits the tone of the series. You won't see its style very often, so it's supposed to be weird and quirky. However, the series is much more than a comedy. In the series, there are a number of moments when things get serious and emotional. Number 42, Bongo-o, Stray Dogs. It seems that Atsushi Nakajima's orphanage has been haunted by a mystical tiger that he is the only one aware of. The 18-year-old, suspected to be responsible for the strange incidents, is abruptly ejected from the orphanage and left hungry, homeless, and walking the streets in the city. As Atsushi starves along a riverbank, he saves an eccentric man named Osamu Dazai from drowning. Dazai, a fanatical suicide enthusiast and supernatural detective, has been investigating the tiger that has been terrorizing the boy. Atsushi is left in a tight spot when they solve the mystery with Dazai's partner, Doppo Kunikida. Following various strange events, Atsushi is compelled to join a supernatural investigation firm, taking on cases that the police are unable to solve, along with his numerous enigmatic co-workers. A special group of literary authors gets together. What happens? The result is Bungo O Stray Dogs. Only this time, they possess special abilities in a world full of mystery, crime, and all kinds of other dark phenomena that will take your breath away. Bungo O Stray Dogs is proof that supernatural fiction can still work in an attractive manner. It gives us a view of a select group of people with their own individual talents, characteristics, and lifestyles that make us wonder about their everyday lives. It looks pretty cool on paper, with a cast of badasses named after some famous literary works. Additionally, their special powers also stem from their well-known literature. Number 43, Otarubi No Mori. During a visit to her uncle, 6-year-old Hotaru Takegawa becomes intrigued by the story of a mountain god and gets lost in the ancient forest. Hotaru, who is exhausted and desperate for help, is happy to find a masked forest spirit named Gin. Having learned this the hard way, she makes sure to never touch the boy again, or he'll disappear. Even so, Gin leads Hotaru out of the forest and warns her not to return when she promises to return with a gift in the future. As she visits him every summer, Hotaru and Gin become close friends, despite being separated by both distance and planes of existence. Their relationship is tested when romantic feelings clash with the one and only rule. Otarubi No Mori is the story of two people whose lives become hopelessly entwined after crossing paths for the first time. There is a bittersweet end to their short but meaningful time together. In an elegant, refreshing way, Otarubi No Mori reimagines the concept of forbidden love, a topic that has been overdone and abused by bad soap opera dramas. The anime's brilliance is due to its beautiful character and background designs, as well as its honest writing. Love is emphasized in the anime in a way we may have overlooked. Throughout Otarubi No Mori, these elements are masterfully woven into a heartbreaking story of first love. Number 44, Tonari no Totoro. It's the 1950s in Japan, and Tatsuo Kusakabe and his daughters Satsuki and Mei have relocated to the countryside to be closer to their mother, who is ill. One day, Mei discovers a small animal in the yard that looks like a bunny. She chases it into the forest and finds Totoro, a giant, a mystical forest spirit that she soon befriends. In no time at all, Satsuki meets Totoro, and the two girls find themselves immersed in natural adventures and fantastical creatures. A child's imagination comes to life in Tonari to Totoro, a captivating fable full of picturesque wonders reminiscent of fanciful fairy tales. A pure heart is the only one who can see the otherworldly rewards hidden from adult eyes. Embracing the creativity and candor of children, they guard the forest as mystic spirits. They are attracted to the simple pleasures of life and nature's beauty. Satsuki and Mei, whose down-to-earth nature and optimism enrich the film's world, make every small discovery resonate with the audience. Their story is an adventure for kids and an opportunity for adults to revisit childhood, a moment of reflection. Like any child of their age, Satsumi and Mei are explorers of the unknown. Their interactions with the rich environment reveal a child's curiosity as well as a delight to watch. Ultimately, the film is more about inspiring the imagination than it is about creating a fantasy backdrop. It speaks to the importance of childhood and a connection with nature. Number 45, Fruits Basket, 2019. Toru Honda's mother always told her as a child the tale of the Chinese zodiac, which she was fascinated by. She's left alone after a sudden family tragedy changes her life. Little does Toru know that her temporary home resides on the private property of the prestigious Sooma family. When she stumbles upon their home one day, she meets Shigori, an older cousin, and Yuki, the school's prince. When the Soomas see Toru walking back to her tent one night, they discover her well-kept secret that she is homeless. As Toru's situation is heard, they offer to take her in. Things start to look up for her. In a flash, she is caught in the middle of a fight between Yuki and his fiery cousin Kyu. It turns out that the Sooma family has their own secret. Whenever a member of the opposite sex hugs one of them, they turn into one of the Chinese zodiac animals. As a result of this discovery, Toru will find that living with the Soomas is an unexpected adventure filled with laughter and romance. Fruit Basket appears at first glance to be just another shoujo manga with nothing unique to offer. A beautiful and sweet girl who attracts all the handsome boys. Yes, that's true, but the way the series develops and how each character interacts with one another as the story progresses adds a unique touch to it. Number 46, Kimi no Suizo wo Tabatai. A bookworm who is aloof from the world around him, the protagonist of the story. No one is of interest to him, and no one is interested in him either. When he discovers a handwritten book titled Living with Dying, he recognizes it as Sakura Yamauchi's secret diary. Afterwards, she confides in him that she is ill with pancreatic disease and that she has a limited amount of time left. Her terminal illness is unknown to anyone but her family, not even her closest friends. Even with this discovery, he does not show sympathy for her plight, but he allows himself to be carried along by Sakura's persistent buoyancy for the rest of her days. The polar opposites' connection grows stronger as they interact, intertwined through every choice they make. Having her apparent nonchalance and unpredictable behavior disrupts the protagonist's life's impassive flow, gradually allowing him to understand and appreciate the meaning of being alive. If you knew you'd die in a year, what would you do? People want to live their lives to the fullest, fulfilling anything they want, traveling to impossible places, or possibly going on a spiritual quest in the name of God. The anime film will remind you of how to leave your mark in this world, how death eventually does come to us whether we like it or not, and how it can affect others for the better. Number 47. Vinland Saga. When Thorfinn was a child, he grew up listening to stories of old sailors who had traveled the ocean and reached Vinland. The land is warm and fertile, a place that doesn't require battling, as opposed to the village in Iceland where he was born into his present life as a mercenary. Now, war is his home. Though Thorfinn's father once told him, "You have no enemies, nobody does. There is nobody who it's okay to hurt." As he grew, he knew that nothing was further from the truth. Each year, the war between England and the Danes gets worse. Mercenaries are enjoying every moment of death, as it is commonplace. Alliances with either side would cause a huge shift in the balance of power, and the Vikings are happy to earn fame and gain rewards. Through the chaos, Thorfinn must avenge his father's death by killing Askeladd, the murderer of his father. In the Vikings' eyes, the only paradise is a world of war and death. Vinland Saga carries a profound feeling. No matter how accurate the events are, you're watching monumental history unfold. Even though it can be frustrating at times, it's engrossing in the end. Vinland Saga is about Viking pride, loss of innocence, betrayal, and the quest for the biggest bounty.
で、手下たちはどこに?
Number 48. One Punch Man. Saitama, who appears ordinary and unimpressive, has a rather unique hobby, being a hero. As a result of his 3-year training regimen, he lost all of his hair. In battle, Saitama is so powerful that no enemy is able to defeat him. The fact that he can defeat evildoers with just one punch has created a new problem. He no longer enjoys the thrill of battling and is becoming drowsy. Janos, a 19-year-old cyborg, arrives and wishes to be Saitama's disciple after seeing what he can do. Immediately after Janos proposes that the two join the Hero Association, Saitama, shocked that no one knows who he is, agrees. The story of One Punch Man centers around an eccentric individual who longs to fight strong opponents that will hopefully give him the excitement he once felt and who just might become popular in the process. There is a lot of power in Saitama. It's boring to be the strongest. The concept of looking for someone stronger, or at least entertaining through life, is a funny one, especially when no one is aware of how strong you are. This is a must-watch anime if you like action comedy, adventure, and superpower anime, and if elements like graphics and sound matter to you. While watching an episode, it's easy to lose yourself in it, and you won't believe how fast time moves when you're entertained. Number 49. Slam Dunk. Known for his temper, his massive height, and his fiery red hair, Hanamichi Sakuragi enrolls in Shohoku High, hoping to finally find a girlfriend after being rejected 50 consecutive times in middle school. He's avoided by most students due to his notoriety. Then, after certain events, Hanamichi thinks, "I hate basketball, and I desperately need a girlfriend." Haruko Akaji, a girl he didn't know was troublemaking, asks him if he enjoys basketball one day. Hansamichi is instantly enchanted by her, blurting out a passionate affirmation. After which she asks him if he can do a slam dunk in the gymnasium. Aiming to impress Haruko, he leaps but overshoots, hitting his head on the backboard. As soon as Haruko reveals Hanamichi's near-inhuman physical capabilities to the basketball team's captain, he slowly finds himself drawn into the camaraderie and competition of the sport he'd previously resented. In the story, one of the most touching aspects is how strong the relationships develop, most notably how loyal Sakuragi's gang is in supporting him so he can be part of the basketball team. Despite the fact that Sakuragi and his friends do not have the best brains, they make up for it with their hearts, and that is what makes this anime so great. Though Sakuragi starts basketball to impress a girl, you can watch how he progresses and go on to cheer for him, just like you would a friend starting something. Number 50. Koukaku Kido Otai. Nihama City becomes a technologically advanced metropolis in the year 2029. Thanks to great advances in cybernetics, its citizens have the ability to replace their limbs with robotic ones. Increasing globalization has resulted in an increasingly interconnected world, and Public Security Section 9 is tasked with combating corruption, terrorism, and other dangerous threats. Major Motoko Kusanagi led Section 9's investigation into the Puppet Master, a mysterious hacker who leaves behind a trail of victims whose memories have been erased. The Puppet Master's body is almost entirely robotic, like many others in this futuristic world, giving them incredible power. While Motoko and her subordinates pursue the criminal's trail, other parties, including Section 6, become involved, forcing Motoko to face the extremely complicated nature of the case. The Puppet Master himself provides Motoko with the answers to her philosophical questions, such as the meaning of her life. Though it never really finds an answer to the question, what makes us human, it comes close. It doesn't really beat the audience over the head with its philosophical, existentialist, and technical talk. In a film about big questions, many of these issues are handled in subtle ways that keep the pace moving while still making the audience think. Number 51. Banana Fish. Aslan Jade Cullen Reese, aka Ash Lynx, was picked up on the streets of New York City as a runaway and raised by Dino Golzini, a mafia godfather. Ash, now 17 and the boss of his gang, investigates the mysterious banana fish, the same two words his brother Griffin has muttered since returning from Iraq. Ash uses an underground bar as a hideout, but Dino sends some of his men after him during his inquiries. As Ash is drinking at a bar, Skip introduces him to Shunichi Ibi and his assistant Aiji Okumura, Japanese street photographers reporting on American gangs. A call from Shorter Wong, one of Ash's allies, interrupts their conversation. The ensuing chaos leads to Dino's men kidnapping Skip and Aiji at the bar. As Ash searches for a way to save them and investigate Banana Fish, will his history with the mafia prevent him from succeeding? The story of a protagonist named Ash Lynx tells a visceral tale about life and love in Banana Fish's deplorable world full of death and sexual violence. Its two halves, like the darkness and light that pervade its two protagonists, Ash and Aiji, contribute to a grounded character drama that portrays both ugly and beautiful aspects of human nature. Banana Fish does an excellent job of describing its important characters in a short amount of time and consistently developing them throughout. Therefore, characters and their interactions are both dynamic and engaging.
Action!
Number 52. Bishujo Senshi Sailor Moon. Usagi Tsukino is an average student and klutz who consistently scores low on her tests. A crescent moon on a cat's head surprises her, turning her humdrum life upside down. It is revealed later that Usagi's meeting with Luna was no accident. She is destined to become Sailor Moon, a planetary guardian capable of protecting the Earth. After she is gifted a special brooch that allows her to transform, she must use her new abilities to protect the city from the evil, energy-stealing monsters sent by the malevolent Queen Beryl. While she has to get used to her powers and fight villains, that's not the only thing she has to worry about. It is imperative that she locate the missing princess of the Moon Kingdom, her fellow Sailor Guardians, as well as the legendary Silver Crystal, in order to save the world. One of the major pillars of anime, Sailor Moon is the most influential magical girl series of all time. Girls and boys were enchanted by the 5 Sailor Senshi, who at first lived normal, anonymous lives before transforming into a magical team to fight evil. Sailor Moon's real shining light is its characters. The lead character, Usagi, is one of the best in anime. With her crying and silly behavior, she starts off as a bit annoying, but she really shines as a comedic character. She grows and becomes more courageous and stronger over the course of the series. Number 53. Elfen Lied. Lucy is a human called a Diclonius, born with horns and invisible hands that land her in a government experimentation facility as a victim of inhumane treatment. As Lucy finally escapes her captors, she unleashes a torrent of bloodshed as she is corrupted by the confinement and torture. She receives a crippling head injury that alters her personality, leaving her with a child's mentality and limited speech capacity. As she slinks through this state of instability, she encounters 2 college students, Kuta and his cousin Yuka, who unknowingly take a wounded fugitive into their care, unaware that she has murderous tendencies. Their lives are soon altered as they are dragged into the shadowy world of government secrecy and conspiracy. The beginning of Elfen Lied is one of the bloodiest the anime can have. The brutal start of the series may frighten many viewers away, but the series that lies beyond it is incredible. The style of Elfen Lied blends science fiction, slice of life, psychological, romance, and horror with surprising results. Lucy's split personality as well as her inner turmoil are clearly represented in the outstanding way in which she makes this transition from calm and cute to dark and tense in an instant. This repetition is consistently executed in an outstanding manner in the series. Number 54, Bakemonogatari. Third-year high school student Koyomi Araragi survives a vampire attack thanks to Memi Oshino, a man living in an abandoned building. Although being saved from vampirism and now a human again, several side effects still remain, like superhuman healing abilities and enhanced vision. Nonetheless, Araragi tries to live the life of a normal student with the help of his friend, Tsubasa Hanikawa, the class president. Itachi Senjo Gahara, a fellow student, falls down the stairs and is caught by Araragi, who notices that the girl is unnaturally light. Araragi insists on helping Senjo Gahara despite Senjo Gahara's protests, deciding to enlist the help of Oshino, whom he had once helped in the past. The storyline of Bakemonogatari follows Araragi as he tries to help those suffering from supernatural problems through several tales involving demons and gods. In Bakemonogatari, the main characters are unique and complex. There is an overarching plot that is delicately threaded throughout each of the individual arcs in Bakemonogatari. All of the characters are directly or indirectly connected to one another. We learn about the specific affliction of each girl in each arc. This would mean long, drawn-out expository dialogue that lacked personality and charisma in other shows. Bakemonogatari, however, is unlike other anime shows. Thanks to its visuals and dialogue complementing each other so well, every interaction is fascinating. Number 55, Akira. This was in 1988 in Japan. Tokyo is ravaged by an explosion caused by a young boy with psychic powers, triggering World War III. Eager to prevent further devastation, he's captured and detained, never to be seen again. As of the year 2019, Neo-Tokyo stands in its place, an area marked by gang violence and terrorism against the existing government. A group of misfits known as the Capsules is led by Shootaro Kaneda, who rides large custom motorcycles and is constantly at odds with the clowns. An Esper who's escaped confinement from an institution on the streets of Tokyo gets into an accident with Shootaru's best friend Tetsuo Shima during one of these battles. In an effort to prevent Tetsuo from unleashing destructive powers, the government places him in quarantine, which leads to Tetsuo developing his own mysterious abilities. In every way, it's a classic that people interested in or thinking about getting into anime or already fans of anime who have not yet seen it should check out. It's a solid mix of action and a complex story, and while you may not completely grasp the story or relate to some characters, it's a minor flaw in what is an otherwise beautiful film. Number 56, Kuro Shitsuji. Young CL Phantom Hive serves as the Queen's guard dog, protecting her from the many unsettling events in Victorian England. CL uses whatever means necessary to accomplish his tasks, assisted by Sebastian Michaels, his loyal butler with inhuman abilities. Does this black-clad butler have more to offer than meets the eye? A secret tragedy engulfed CL's past during one of his darkest moments. He entered a contract with Sebastian, a demon, trading his soul for revenge on the people who wronged him. Sebastian is now not only a great butler, but he's also the perfect servant to carry out his master's orders, while looking forward to the delicious meal he will eventually prepare from CL's soul. They form a bond as they uncover the mystery behind CL's chain of misfortunes that neither heaven nor hell can break. Kuro Shitsuji reveals several mysteries within and outside the Phantom Hive household, leaving the audience wondering who is involved, what's going on, and why. Most of these characters have so many hidden depths that they never seem two-dimensional. All characters have emotional backstories and plot twists to some extent. With his eloquent nature and satirical humor, Sebastian is the pure personification of a demon butler. It is often portrayed that demons are hideous creatures that are ravenous both inside and out. Still, Sebastian gives a whole new meaning to the word demon. Additionally, CL Phantom Hive isn't your typical 12-year-old. He's more mature than his age. Number 57, Nana. 20-year-old Nana Komatsu is naive and helpless, easily falling in love and becoming dependent on those around her. In spite of her ambitions of moving to Tokyo and finding her true calling, she ends up traveling there to chase her current boyfriend, Shoji Endo. As for Nana Osaki, she's a proud, enigmatic punk rock singer from a similarly rural background with the ambition to become a professional singer. She puts her career with a fairly popular band and her passionate relationship with one of its former members behind her. as she boards the same train to Tokyo as Nana Komatsu. Two young women with the same name, while traveling toward the metropolis, are brought together, resulting in a chain of events that leads them to share an apartment. A growing friendship, their intertwined lives are filled with romance, music, challenges, and heartbreaks that will eventually test their seemingly impenetrable bond. The great thing about Nana is the characters. We see our own reflection in some of them and believe that such people really exist. The anime is proof that you can do well without the traditional tsundere, moe, and annoying childhood friends. One of Nana's strongest points is the story. Despite the plot being a typical shoujo tearjerker, the show has a magic quality that makes you cheer unconsciously for some characters and experience emotional events almost as strongly as the characters themselves. Number 58. Yu Yu Hakusho. When Yusuke Urameshi, a young delinquent with a dim future, leaps in front of a moving car to save a boy, he gets a chance to turn his life around. The authorities of the spirit world are not yet ready for him to pass away after his sacrifice was so out of character. Yusuke is offered the chance to regain his life by Konma, heir to the spirit realm. In his role as a spirit detective, he is to thwart evil forces on Earth with the guidance of the death god Botan. Yusuke recruits Kazuma Kuwabara, his ex-rival, and two demonic creatures with criminal backgrounds, Hai and Kurama, to help him on his mission. As a team, they train and battle against enemies who threaten humanity's very existence. Yu Yu Hakusho is a highly recommended show in this category for anyone who enjoys well-constructed fighting action anime in general. The anime is a shounen, and as such it contains some typical shounen cliches. The title does manage to come up with unique and inventive ideas, as well as a superb story and dialogue, and with a sense of humor far beyond what should be expected from a shounen title. Each of the characters has something unique about them. Yu Yu Hakusho's characters may appear to have one-dimensional roles at first glance, but you'll see that they have much more to them than meets the eye. Number 59. Fate Zero. The omnipotent Holy Grail has triggered 3 wars throughout history, each too aggressive and cruel to leave a victor. Nevertheless, the wealthy Ainsburn family is convinced that the 4th Holy Grail War will have a different outcome. Namely, the vessel of the Holy Grail will now be within their grasp. Kiritsugu Emiya, the much-hated Magus killer, is hired by the Ainsburns, and his marriage to their only daughter, Irisville, is the binding contract. Kiritsugo is now caught in the middle of a competitive game of life and death, facing off against 6 other players, each armed with an ancient familiar and driven by unique ideals and desires. Kiritsugu, accompanied by his familiar Saber, soon comes up against his greatest rival, Kirai Kotomine, a priest who is seeking salvation from the emptiness within himself in his pursuit of Kiritsugu. There is no guarantee anyone will survive a battle royale. Upon first glance, Fate Zero may appear to be simply another action anime, but that couldn't be further from the truth. This is because Fate Zero is a far more mature story than the original visual novel or its adaptations, and unlike other shows, the characters rarely engage in pointless conflicts or endeavors. The dialogue in Fate Zero excels, and while there are moments when conversations go on for too long, the script is intelligent, rational, and insightful. Fate Zero succeeds in doing exactly what it sets out to do: captivate the audience and leave them wanting more. Number 60. Great Pretender. Makoto Edamame Edamura became accustomed to living a life of crime after suffering a series of unfortunate events. Nonetheless, after swindling a tourist who seemed clueless, Makoto discovers that he was the one who had been tricked, and now he is being pursued by the police. During his escape, he runs into the tourist once again, who turns out to be a fellow con artist named Laurent Thierry, and follows him all the way to Los Angeles. Makoto challenges his rival to determine who is the better scammer in order to defend his self-proclaimed title of Japan's greatest swindler. When he accepts the competition, Laurent drops them off outside this mafia boss's mansion. Taking place between cities, Great Pretender explores the high-stakes world of international fraud along with Makoto, Laurent, and their colorful associates. In no time at all, Makoto realizes his self-declared skills are continually put to the test, far beyond what he bargained for. It's a pretty straightforward story, but it's also incredibly funny. Even though you know how they'll trick the victims, it doesn't mean it can't be well executed and funny in its own right. The storyline flows very well and captures the watcher's attention. There are also some great references to movies and television shows. There are a lot of great swindlers using various kinds of rigged systems to con their victims, which makes for an entertaining show.
By giving everything you've got!
And save people!
No matter the cost!
Number 61. Boku no Hero Academia. Various abilities from manipulating elements to shape-shifting have been discovered more and more often as they become mainstream. 80% of humanity has some sort of quirk, a newly discovered superpower. This leaves the rest of the world completely powerless. One such individual is Izuku Midoriya. Throughout his childhood, the ambitious middle schooler wanted nothing more than to be a hero. His unfair fate makes him admire heroes and take notes whenever he can. It seems that Izuku's persistence has brought him a reward. He meets his personal hero and number one hero, All Might. The quirk that All Might possesses can be inherited, and Izuku has been chosen as his successor. Izuku undergoes months of grueling training before enrolling at UA High, prestigious school noted for its outstanding hero training program, and this year's freshmen appear especially promising. Izuku will soon learn what it truly means to be a hero as he faces the threat of a villainous organization. We focus on Izuku's dreams throughout Boku no Hero Academia, a young boy who aspires to become the greatest hero in a world filled with heroes. The task is not menial, considering that every man and woman in the world has a quirk that gives them a distinct advantage over Izuku, who was born without one. Number 62. Nanatsu no Taizai. Holy Knights of Britannia, who use immensely powerful magic to protect Britannia and its kingdoms, live in a world that is similar to the European Middle Ages. A few knights, however, are said to have betrayed their homeland and turned their swords on their comrades so as to overthrow the king. However, rumors persisted that these legendary knights, known as the Seven Deadly Sins, were still alive. The Holy Knights instigated a coup d'etat 10 years later, becoming the new tyrannical rulers of Lioness. In Nanatsu no Taizai, Elizabeth, the third princess of the Kingdom of Lioness, pursues the Seven Deadly Sins. It is through their help that she not only seeks to take back her kingdom from the Holy Knights, but also seeks justice in a world that is unfair. The story is excellently paced in that it adheres to the typical format of battle after battle, while gradually introducing each of the main characters and forwarding the plot. This story moves beyond the commonplace good guy versus bad guy cliché beautifully. In a beautiful way, it asserts that there is no good or bad. As the series progresses, it becomes increasingly evident that each character is flawed and selfish in their own way. Taizai has a plethora of characters, and many of them see some interesting characterization and some development. Both the personalities of the characters and their interactions make this show so entertaining to watch. Number 63. Psyche Kusou no Sainan. In the eyes of the average person, psychic abilities may seem like a blessing. In Kusou Saikai's case, however, this is far from the truth. In spite of possessing various supernatural abilities, including telepathy and X-ray vision, he sees these abilities as nothing but a curse. After all the inconveniences his power causes constantly pile up, all Kusou wants is a normal, hassle-free life, a life where ignorance is bliss. Psychics' lives are far from peaceful. Kusou attempts to avoid drawing attention to himself by hiding his abilities, but he ends up inadvertently attracting odd characters such as Riki Nendu and Shun Kaido. Kusou's attempts to live an ordinary life prove to be a lot more difficult than he had first anticipated when confronted with the craziness of those around him. Each episode has another core story, but the main story, which is that Saikai Kusou possesses special powers, still carries through all episodes. Some moments are really unexpected and catch you by surprise. All the characters are well developed and unique, and they are all clearly related to each other. Saikai's family, classmates, and anyone he meets are all weirdos. They are each hilarious and awesome in their own way and won't leave him alone. It is the variety of uses for psychic powers that makes this anime so enjoyable. Every episode feels very different from the others because of their multiple purposes. Number 64. Chihaya Furu. Shadowed by her older sister, Chihaya Ayase grows up as a strong-willed tomboy. Since she has no dreams of her own, she is content with her share of life until she meets Arata Wataya. She discovers competitive Karuta, a psychically and mentally challenging card game inspired by Japanese anthology 100 Poets, when she meets the quiet transfer student in her elementary class. After being fascinated by Arata's love of the game and inspired by his wish to become the best in Japan, Chihaya falls in love with the game of Karuta. She joins the local Shiranai society with the prodigy Arata and her haughty but hard-working friend Taichi Mashima. Three childhood friends spend their days playing together until circumstances separate them. Chihaya has become a serious Karuta fan in high school. Her goal is to establish the municipal Mizuzawa High Competitive Karuta Club, aiming to win the national championship at Omi Jingu. In reuniting with Taichi, Chihaya realizes she must bring together members who share her passion for the game if she hopes to establish a Karuta team. Card games are only a small part of what this show offers. In the eyes of Chihaya, the protagonist of the series, Karuta is also about creating a dream for herself and also about the bond that she formed with Arata and Taiichi when she was 12. A show like Chihaya Furu is primarily characterized by character-driven plots, which can, in its own way, produce heart-wrenching entertainment. Number 65. Ao no Exorcist. Humans and demons are one and the same, as are Azaya and Gehenna, their worlds. Traveling between realms can only be accomplished through possession, as in ghost stories. Satan, who rules Gehenna, cannot locate a suitable host to possess, so he remains imprisoned there. As part of his desperate efforts to conquer Azaya, he sends his son instead, hoping that he will eventually become a vessel capable of being possessed by the Demon King. Rin Okumura is an ordinary teenager who appears to be troublesome until one day when he is ambushed by demons. It turns his world upside down when he discovers that he is the son of Satan, and that his father wants him to go back to him so that they can defeat Azaya together. Rin decides he does not want to join the king of Gehenna, and so he begins his exorcist training, so he can defend Azaya with his brother Yukio. The storyline with respect to the characters and their motivations is actually believable. This isn't some far-fetched idea with characters who have no relation to the plot. As a result of the way Ao no Exorcist story is intertwined with and through the characters is very realistic, and this makes the story very enjoyable to watch. Number 66. Ukami ga Kill. In the Revolutionary Army, Night Raid is a covert assassination wing that attempts to overthrow Prime Minister Honest by exploiting the child emperor's inexperience and avarice. If there is no strong, benevolent leader, the nation will drown in poverty, strife, and ruin. Despite the Night Raid members' experience as killers, they understand that taking lives is not commendable and will likely receive retribution when they eliminate anyone who stands in the way of the revolution. Tatsumi, a young boy from a remote village who sets out to help his impoverished hometown, has joined this merry band of assassins. He is smitten with not only the ideals of Night Raid, but also their resolve. The plot follows Tatsumi as he battles the Empire and comes face to face with formidable weapons, enemy assassins, and challenges to his own morals and values, ultimately learning what it truly means to be someone who kills for a cause. The anime has a very realistic feel to it. In real life, this is not surprising, especially when the main characters are assassins, but for some reason, most anime simply don't make people die by creating impossible situations. That's not the case with Ukami ga Kill. It has unique and likable characters. Each one of them is unique in their own way. It shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone that characters will die, and they'll suffer a lot before death. So this connection of liking or even loving for some is crucial to how the anime manipulates your emotions. Number 67. Usagi Drop. Daikichi Kawachi, 30, is an aimless bachelor with a respectable job. Upon learning of his grandfather's sudden death, he pays his respects at the family home. Upon his arrival at the house, he's surprised to see a young girl named Rin, her grandfather's illegitimate daughter. Her father's relatives refuse to take care of the shy and unapproachable girl after he dies, considering her an embarrassment to the family. In anger, Daikichi announces he will take Rin in, despite the fact that he is a young single man without childcare experience. Daikichi's journey through fatherhood is reflected in Usagi Drop, which explores both the warmth and independence at the heart of a close-knit family. There's a surprising lack of over-the-top melodrama that can often be expected in these kinds of shows, although certain problems Daikichi faces are specific to Japanese society. The story progresses at a measured pace, and the plot takes a mature approach to parenting than one might initially expect. Kawachi Daikichi is, without a doubt, the most interesting character in Usagi Drop. This can be partly explained by the fact that most of the story is told from his point of view, but he's also one of the most well-defined male leads in anime to date.
Myself cry as much as I want now. Get it out of the way. That way when I face something really tough.
Number 68. Bacano. Flying Pussyfoot, the legendary transcontinental train that will leave a trail of blood across the nation, is embarking on its legendary journey in Chicago during the early 1930s. Zillard and his unwilling assistant Ennis are searching for the immortality elixir in New York at the same time. Additionally, a war between mafia groups is intensifying. During the 1711 voyage of the Advena Avis, alchemists are about to discover the price of immortality. It tells the story of alchemy, survival, and immortality through several events that seem unrelated at first, but are actually part of a much larger story. Various people are connected together, all of them with their own agendas and hidden interests, as Isaac and Mirai, kind-hearted would-be thieves, create lifelong bonds and consequences for all. Baccano has a good balance of drama, action, and comedy. Every character is very well designed and as unique as their voices, from Isaac Diane and Mirai Harvant to the psychopathic lad Russo. Among an excellent cast of characters, Isaac and Mirai stand out as the most memorable. They effectively act as the story's glue. The story of Baccano is very straightforward. When it comes to storytelling, the style of how the story is told usually gets the most attention. The story consists of several intertwined storylines. You may be confused by the characters and events at first. After the initial shock of being thrown into the middle of a story, you'll be engrossed in an intriguing, fast-paced and entertaining story that leaves you wanting more.
Must be from Nadu.
Nadu! Who is this Nadu?
Number 69, Barakamon. Seishu Handa is a young, handsome, talented calligrapher who's unfortunately narcissistic. A veteran's labeling of his award-winning contribution as unoriginal quickly causes Seishu to lose his cool with severe consequences. He's exiled to the Goto Islands, far from the comfortable life the temperamental artist is used to in Tokyo, as punishment and as a means of aiding him in self-reflection. With Seishu now living in a rural area, he should be able to develop his own unique style of art. That is, if the boisterous Naro Koto Ishii and the Fujoshi middle schoolers don't walk into his house. In the Goto community, the newest member only wants to do some work, but the islands are far from the peaceful countryside he expected. He learns so much more than he ever imagined, thanks to his wacky neighbors who don't seem to be able to manage their own affairs. A series such as Barakamon shows that there are many ways to create an exciting anime without aliens, magic, or love triangles. Barakamon does not tell a tale of good triumphing over evil or true love between two people, but rather of the fact that our mundane daily lives are compelling enough, no matter what the circumstances are. Instead of using melodrama to develop characters, Barakamon chooses to develop them gradually and in a realistic manner. While Handa and the characters often seem immature, Barakamon is surprisingly mature. Number 70, Kami-sama Hajime Mashita. Naname Momozono has a lot of problems lately, beginning with her absentee father being in such extreme debt that her family is losing everything. Homeless and downtrodden, she runs into a man being hounded by a dog. She explains her situation to him after helping him, and he offers her his home as a gesture of thanks. After realizing it's a run-down shrine, she attempts to leave. However, two shrine spirits, along with a fox familiar named Tomoe, catch her. She is mistaken for the land god of the shrine, Mikage, the man Nanami rescued. Tomoe leaves abruptly, not being willing to serve a human. Realizing Mikage must have sent her as a replacement god, Naname devotes herself to her divine duties instead of returning to homelessness. The only way she can keep things running smoothly is to call upon the help of a certain hot-headed fox. In an attempt to locate Tomoe, she gets into trouble and ends up signing a contract with him. They must now journey through godhood together as god and familiar. But it won't be easy, for new threats will arise. A yokai seeking to devour the girl, a snake seeking to marry her, and Naname herself, who is having feelings for her new familiar. This is a light-hearted, sweet story that involves some supernatural occurrences, hence it makes for an excellent romantic comedy. Overall, the series is light-hearted. Naname and Tomoe's strange relationship dominates the series, with the comedy outweighing the romance. Number 71, Fairy Tale. Magic is an integral part of everyday life in the mystical land of Fiore. At the heart of all magical activity are numerous magic guilds, which serve as a venue for mages to band together and accept job requests. Among all of them, Fairy Tale stands out for its spirit, strength, and family. The young mage, Lucy Hartfilia, is searching for celestial gate keys and dreams of joining this renowned guild to become a full-fledged wizard. On her search, she meets Natsu, Dragneel, and Happy, who are trying to locate Natsu's foster father, Igneel, the dragon. Natsu saves Lucy from an abduction attempt after she is tricked by a man. She learns that he is part of Fairy Tale and is invited to join them. The guild's strange members, including Grey Fullbuster and Azza Scarlet, are introduced to Lucy at that point. Together they fight evil, help those in need, and make new friends while enjoying the never-ending adventures of Fairy Tale. Regardless of how you make it, Xiaonan will always have some generic components. One of the characteristics that make Fairy Tale so unique is that it is good despite all the cliches the plot contains. There's nothing wrong with generic shonens, and Fairy Tale capitalizes on the things we love about them. There are a lot of characters in this story, so no one would think there wouldn't be enough time to tell the story for all of them. They all receive ample airtime, considering they aren't the main characters.
素晴らしいな。
Number 72, Kill La Kill. As a result of her father's murder, Ryuko Matoi wandered the country seeking his killer. Following the scissor blade, the missing half of his invention, she arrives at Honuiji Academy, a unique school. It's governed by Satsuki Kuryuin, the imposing and cold-hearted student council president, along with the Elite Four, her powerful underlings. At the top of the school's fiercely competitive hierarchy, Satsuki bestows a special uniform, called the Goku uniform, that grants the wearer unique superhuman abilities. As Ryuko recovers from a brutal fight with a student in a uniform, she stumbles across Senketsu, a gifted and sentient kamui, or god clothes. Senketsu awakens when he comes into contact with Ryuko's blood, latching onto her and providing her with immense power. Ryuko, armed with Senketsu and the scissor blade, goes up against the Elite Four in order to reach Satsuki and uncover the truth about her father's murder. Anime tropes and cliches are amplified and inverted in Kill La Kill in order to deliver something exciting and fresh. Ryuko's revenge tale may be predictable, but it's how the plot points are executed that sets it apart. From the school setting, characters and concepts to the absolutely epic action that takes place, everything is exaggerated. Throughout every episode, the show attempts to keep the ante high and never dwells on any single event for too long. This show doesn't have much filler, and it plays with the viewer's expectations by completely altering the outcome. Number 73, Shokugeki no Souma. The 15-year-old Souma Yukihira has worked as a sous chef for his father's restaurant since he was a child. With Souma's creative skill and daring culinary creations, he entertained customers throughout the years. Someday, he dreams of owning his family's restaurant as its head chef. Souma's father, however, decides to close the restaurant to test his cooking abilities in restaurants around the world, and he sends him to Totsuki Culinary Academy, an elite training school where only 10% of the students graduate. It's known for its shokugeki, or food wars, where students compete in high-stakes cooking battles. When Souma and his new schoolmates attempt to survive Totsuki's extreme lifestyle, he faces greater and greater challenges, putting what he learned from his father to the test. There is something classic about this show. Shokugeki no Souma does carry on with many similar elements, despite not having any superpowers like some other battle shonen series. Through both its storytelling and its characters, Shokugeki no Souma achieves entertainment. The cast has a wide range of personalities. In terms of Souma, what matters most is how they interact with others. As a result, it brings out the best and the worst in them. You may have a new perspective on food after watching this show. Shokugeki no Souma, which adapts battle shonen to food dishes, is an equally beautiful and delicious show. An entertaining tale about a guy who cooks to make others happy, not just to show off. Number 74, Ano Himata Hana no Namae wo Bokutachi wa Mada Shiranai. Jinta Yadomi spends his time playing video games at home instead of going to school, peacefully living as a recluse. Meiko Menma Honma, his childhood friend, appears and nags him to grant a forgotten wish. It annoys her that he doesn't pay her attention, but he doesn't care. Besides, Menma already died years ago. The summer heat initially causes Jinta to believe that he is hallucinating, but he eventually becomes convinced that he is seeing the ghost of Menma. After Menma's untimely death, Jinta and his childhood friends grew apart, but they are reunited as they try to say goodbye to her. With their pain and guilt relived, can they find the strength to help not only Menma, but also themselves to move on? From the outside, Ano Hana seems like a simple story about teenagers dealing with past trauma and maturing as a result. That's true to a certain extent. In the narrative's often placid tone, there is a measured, almost methodical approach to events reflected in the plot. In the anime, one of the most surprising aspects is the use of flashbacks to punctuate events and provide historical context for Jinta, Menma, and the other super peacebusters. In contrast to the current state of the characters' relationships, these memories serve as a poignant reminder of how much their lives have changed. As an anime, Ano Hana is one of the best examples of how good a truly unique anime can be. Number 75, Bokutachi ga Inai Machi. In the moments before tragedy strikes, Satoru Fujinuma finds himself sent back in time. Using this powerful yet mysterious phenomenon, the 29-year-old manga artist known as Revival has saved countless lives. Satoru is, however, sent back to the past once again to 1988, 18 years ago, when he was wrongfully accused of murdering someone close to him. It doesn't take him long to realize that the murder was connected to the abduction and murder of one of his classmates, the mysterious Keiyo Hinazuki, that occurred when he was a child. He has a unique opportunity to make things right. The narrative follows Satoru as he searches for answers about a tragic incident that occurred 18 years ago and tries to prevent the death of his classmate while protecting those he loves today. It's not a story about time travel. It merely includes such an element to get the narrative moving. Whenever time travel is emphasized in stories, they often mess up the plot since they fail to pay attention to consistency, which makes the story sloppy and unreliable. This anime avoids major inconsistencies and focuses on its main theme by maintaining the element simple and undetailed. Despite the backdrop being based around Satoru investigating and trying to prevent murders, it isn't the main element that will stay with you after the series ends. Number 76, Dokyuusei. Hikaru Kusakabe is an ordinary boy in a rock band who's always concentrating on the present. An upcoming chorus festival forces him to participate with his entire class during the summer. In a strange coincidence, he discovers his classmate Rihito Seiju practicing his singing alone. As Seiju struggles to perform the class's song, Kusakabe, thrilled to see a new side of his straight-laced classmate, offers to assist him. While their lives and personalities are polar opposites, they begin to grow closer as time passes. However, what will become of them in their growing relationship with an unknown future? In such a short amount of time, the settings perfectly reflect the ups and downs of a relationship without feeling rushed or forced. The pleasure of love, the misunderstandings, the light drama, and the resolution are beautifully delivered. Kusakabe is a musician who spends most of his time with friends and practicing with his band, while Seiju is a quiet academic who spends most of his time at cram school and worrying about college. It's adorable how they deal with each other. Rather than having a push and pull relationship, both characters show equal amounts of love for each other. Supporting characters provide drama to the story and a deeper appreciation of the MC's feelings for each other. Cast members are kept to a minimum, which is a good choice since the movie only lasts for an hour and is already packed. Number 77, Mirai Nikki. Yukiteru Amano, a lonely high school student, keeps a diary on his cell phone, conversing with two seemingly imaginary friends, Deus Ex Machina, the god of time and space, and Momo, the god's servant. Deus reveals that he is an actual being by granting Yukiteru a random diary, which provides highly descriptive entries based on the future, forcing him into a bloody battle royale with 11 other users of the same powerful diaries. In order to survive, Yukiteru must find and kill the other 11 if he wants to become the god of space and time. As a result, he reluctantly bands together with his stalker, Gasai, who possesses a similar diary and vows to keep him safe. However, the girl might be hiding more than meets the eye, as she might have other plans for her unrequited love. As with any survival game genre, there are risks, such as death. Ultimately, there is only one winner, and that's every man for himself. Our protagonist is lucky that his stalker is madly in love with him, which means they are able to form an alliance. At its core, Mirai Nikki is a romance story, but it is so much more than that. There is an exploration of how one's actions and willpower can change the future, and how good people can go insane or do terrible things. Number 78, Kakegurui. Hayaku Private Academy prepares students for life beyond school. The academy, whose students often come from the richest families in the world, has its own quirks that set it apart from all others. In the daytime, it serves as a normal school, teaching history, languages, and so on. During the night, it becomes a gambling den, where students are taught how to manipulate people and deal with money. Whoever comes out on top in the games is at the top of the school. The beautiful and naive Yumeko Jabami is excited to try out Hayaku's special curriculum. Her borderline insane gambling style might just bring too many new cards to the table, as she doesn't play to win, to have fun. In Kakegurui, you are immersed in a game that explains how the school works and how insane the show can be. The show's characters are eccentric, but in a good way. The central characters, Jabami and Suzui, serve as archetypal foils to one another. By contrasting these elements, the viewer is able to appreciate the show's mood, humor, and wit even more. With each wagering game having its own set of characteristics, patterns, and spins, the games are designed to look like boss battles from a video game. As a result, the show remains engaging. Number 79, Inuyasha. A demon drags 15-year-old Kagome Higurashi into a cursed well on the grounds of her family's Shinto shrine, ending her normal life. Rather than hitting the bottom of the well, Kagome ends up in Japan's violent Sengoku period 500 years ago, where the demon's true target, a wish-granting jewel called the Shikon jewel, reincarnates inside her. An accidental battle with a revived demon caused Kagome's sacred jewel to shatter. she enlists the help of a young dog-demon-human hybrid named Inuyasha to collect the shards before they fall to the wrong hands. Inuyasha and Kagome are joined by Shippo, the orphan fox demon, Miroku, the intelligent monk, and Sango, the demon slayer. In order to find the power-granting shards spread across feudal Japan and deal with the threats posed by them, they must put aside their differences and work together. Throughout the story, Inuyasha, Kagome, and their companions are explored in a methodical way to deepen our understanding of them. Furthermore, despite the show's enormous length, it is full of plot twists, so even after figuring out the outcome, the story remains interesting. The anime includes both heartbreaking emotional scenes and action-packed battle sequences. The legacy of Inuyasha has remained strong over time. Thanks to its incredible soundtrack, visuals, plot, and detailed character development, it'll remain a favorite anime around the world. Number 80. Dr. Stone. High school student Taiju Uki has been harboring unspoken feelings for Yuzuriha Ogawa for the past 5 years. A blinding green light, however, strikes the earth just as Taiju begins his confession, petrifying every human on earth and turning them into stone. Taiju awoke several millennia later to find that humanity has not existed for millennia, and nature has flourished in its place. Among the stone world statues, Taiju comes across a living being, his science-loving friend Senku. Taiju finds out that Senku has formulated a grand scheme to launch the complete revival of civilization using science. Taiju's strength and Senku's brains combine to create a formidable partnership, and they eventually discover a way to revive the petrified. When Senku's ideologies are challenged by those who awaken, his master plan is jeopardized. Meanwhile, mankind's petrification remains a mystery. The show has such an intriguing setting that you'll be sucked in from the beginning. Even though it is extremely over the top, Dr. Stone is one of those anime that you love. It's realistic while being unrealistic, funny, yet intense. It takes place in prehistoric times, which is what makes it unique. Comedy and science go hand in hand in Dr. Stone. If you continue watching it, you'll laugh so hard you'll fall off your couch. Dr. Stone's main objective is to display the brilliance of Senku and his little science team that he manages to assemble. All of the characters he befriends have different goals and personalities. Number 81. Kuroko no Basket. 5 outstanding players have led Teiku Junior High School's basketball team to 3 consecutive championships, thanks to their breathtaking and unique skills that leave opponents in awe and fans in admiration. Upon graduating, these teammates, known as the Generation of Miracles, go their separate ways and are now considered rivals. In Seirin High School, 2 newly recruited freshmen show that they are not ordinary basketball players. Taiga Kagami, a promising player coming back from the US, and Tetsuya Kuroku, an unassuming student who seems to blend in quietly. While Kuroko is neither athletic nor scoring capable, he was able to assist his teammates and pass the ball easily as the phantom sixth man on Taiku's basketball team. As Seirin attempts to win the Inter-High Championship, Kuroko no Basket follows its players' journey toward becoming the best Japanese high school team. Kuroko and Taiga form a pact to defeat the 5 players with godlike abilities who are part of powerful teams that they need to cross paths with. It's not so much a huge monster that destroys everyone. It's more of a tiny little guy who causes a lot of hype, and you can't wait to see what fate has in store for him. And he's the underdog that you root for. Number 82. Devilman, Crybaby. Without a living host, devils cannot take form. If a person has a strong enough will to overcome the demon, they can become a devilman and gain its power. Akira Fudoo has always been weak and unassuming, but he has a bleeding heart. As a result, Akira is willing to help uncover the secrets of devils when his childhood friend Ryu Asuka asks him. To Akira's surprise, they find themselves at Sabbath, an immortal party of debauchery and degeneracy. Demons possess the partygoers' bodies, turning them into grotesque monsters, and start wreaking havoc on the partygoers. By merging with the devil Amon in a reckless attempt to save his best friend, Akira unwittingly gains the power to defeat the remaining demons. The new partnership gives Akira great power, but it also awakens an insatiable and primal part of him. Akira, who has the body of a devil but a crybaby heart, works alongside Ryu to destroy those that harm humanity. The anime is so bold, exuberant, and glorious itself that it takes no prisoners and pulls no punches. We become happy, eager participants in one of the most simultaneously joyous and painful experiences of all time. Devilman Crybaby has a cast of characters that are extremely well crafted. They're all deliberate, consistent, and engaging. One of the best characters is Akira. He doesn't fit into any specific category. He is a unique individual with incredible relationships with the other characters. Number 83. Mahou Shujo Madoka Magica. As middle school girls with regular lives, Madoka Kaname and Sayaka Miki meet Kyubei, a magical familiar similar to a cat, and Homura Akemi, a new transfer student. Kyubei offers them a deal. In exchange for granting any wish, they will each become a magical girl, gaining enough power to achieve their dreams. Homura Akemi, herself a magical girl, warns them against accepting the offer, saying that everything isn't what it seems. In this story of hope, despair, and friendship, Mahou Shujo Madoka Magica explores the meaning of magical girls and what it takes to realize one's dreams. In a well-planned, carefully executed series of events, the story is introduced to the audience, and important plot elements are revealed. Every time it is done, viewers are on the edge of their seats as they wonder what exactly is happening. New characters are introduced along the way. Each has a specific role, their backstory is explored, and each will have a special moment in the series. There is never a dull moment in this show. Each episode is packed with excitement and details that keep the viewers looking forward to the next one. There are only a few characters in this anime. Because of this, each important character in the series develops and changes in unexpected ways. We learn about the past of some characters, the reasons for their actions and their feelings, among other things, giving each character a unique feeling. Number 84. Nodame Cantabile. A first-class musician, Shinichi Chiaki dreams of playing in Europe's prestigious clubs. His family is distinguished, and he is an infamous perfectionist. Not only is he highly critical of himself, but is also highly critical of others. Shinichi's fear of flying is the only thing stopping him from leaving for Europe. As a result, he can't leave Japan. Shinichi meets Megumi Noda, or Nodame, or Nodame as she calls herself, during his 4th year at Japan's top music university. Initially, she appears to be an unkempt girl with no direction in life. Shinichi, however, finds himself in awe when he hears Nodame play the piano for the first time. Shinichi, however, is horrified to discover that Nodame is his neighbor, and worse, she ends up falling in love with him. In contrast to many other romantic comedy anime, the action in Nodame Cantabile takes place in a college instead of a high school, and the difference between the character's mentality and personality and the way the story and plot is handled is quite obvious. In watching the series, it becomes clear that the characters are no longer children, and even though they are still in college, their attitudes to life, the world, and to others are dissimilar to the ones encountered in the hordes of high school romantic comedies. Due to its more mature yet whimsical approach to love and life, Nodame Cantabile is a breath of fresh air. Number 85. Samurai Champloo. The clumsy and young waitress Fu Kasumi works in a small tea house peacefully during the day. She was doing well until she spills a drink on her customer. Fu is now being harassed constantly by a group of samurai, so she desperately calls on another samurai in the shop, Mugen, who has a wild fighting technique that resembles breakdancing. Unfortunately, Mugen chooses to engage in sword fighting with the unwilling Ronin Jin, whose style is more precise and traditional and who proves to be a formidable opponent. They destroy the whole shop and accidentally kill the local magistrate's son as well. The two samurai were captured and put to death for their crime. Fu, however, rescues them and hires them as bodyguards. As the former waitress no longer has a place to return to, she enlists the help of the now exonerated pair to find a samurai who smells of sunflowers. Even though they initially disapprove of this idea, the two ultimately agree to assist the girl in her quest. Thus, the trio sets out on an adventure to find this mysterious warrior, that is, if Fu can keep Mugen and Jin from hurting each other. Samurai Champloo takes place in an alternate Edo period of Japan, and it follows the journey of these three eccentric characters in an epic quest full of action, comedy, and dynamic sword fighting, all set to a hip-hop infused soundtrack. Number 86. Tokyo Revengers. In Takemichi Hanagaki's life, his second year of middle school was the best. He had a gang of friends he could count on as well as a girlfriend. It's been 12 years since then. He is now a nobody. A washed-up non-entity mocked by children and forced to apologize to his younger boss constantly. It's only insult to injury that a sudden news story reports the brutal murder of his only girlfriend and her brother by the Tokyo Manji gang. Before he's killed by a train, Takemichi flashes back to the day he was still dating Hinata Tachibana 12 years ago. After reliving the very same day that began his downward spiral, Takemichi meets Hinata's younger brother. He confesses to his apparent death without thinking before flashing back to the past. Before returning to the future, Takemichi urges him to protect his sister. He is alive, miraculously. Even stranger, the future has changed. Takemichi seems to have the power to change the course of time. Takemichi decides to change the future to help prevent the tragic death of his ex-girlfriend at the hands of the Tokyo Manji gang. There is an intense atmosphere created by the characters and their individual stories, which makes 20 minutes feel like just a few seconds. It's a show with great character development, and it never disappoints. Everything is so well connected. It gets straight to the point in each episode, with each episode ending with you wanting to learn more. Number 87, No Game, No Life. This surreal comedy follows two shut-in neat siblings and the world's best online gamer duo known as Blank. Their perception of reality is that it is merely another lousy game until a strange email challenges them to a chess match. Changes everything. Tet, the god of games, appears to the brother and sister in an otherworldly realm. The mysterious god welcomes Sora and Shiro to Disboard, a world where conflicts are settled not through war, but through high-stake games. In this system, each party must wager something equal to that of the other party. There, in this strange land of childlike play, the indifferent genius gamer duo of Sora and Shiro have found their purpose: to unite, disboard, and defeat Tet, thus making themselves the leaders of this bold new world where gaming is everything. To provide entertainment despite the seriousness of the siblings' quest, the show often pokes fun at itself through its characters, concepts, and gags. Playing a game is rarely more fun than watching someone else play it. Regardless, this show makes you feel like you're part of their quest to conquer the world. As it deconstructs game tropes, this anime offers a fantasy adventure through an experimental medium. Through cultures, rules, and just about anything else the show can get its hands on, the show frequently mocks itself. Even though the show doesn't evade its cliches, it finds a way to parody them through clever comedic execution. Number 88, Death Parade. After death, heaven and hell do not exist. A bar stands between reincarnation and oblivion. There, one by one, the attendant will challenge pairs of recently deceased individuals to a random game in which their fate of ascending into reincarnation or falling into the void will be determined. A ghastly parade of death and memories will reveal the true nature of each person in a ghastly game of bowling, darts, air hockey, or anything in between in the bar master's hands. Greetings from Queen Decim, where Decim, the arbiter of the afterlife, awaits. A strange black-haired guest causes Decim to begin doubting his own judgments in Death Parade. Death Parade is not your average show. The idea of death is emphasized in this rather extraordinary way, such that it is expanded into a game format. It's more than just playing a game, since we get to see what the players' characters are alike from every angle. As a metaphor, it's more like playing life and death itself. This show operates differently from your typical survival game. This is because of the already dead characters. Considering that the series focuses on the very essence of death, there is also an understanding the show conveys about it. We focus on something our characters experienced in their past lives that somehow led them to where they are now. Death Parade is organized as a series of lessons that let the characters know why they are there. Number 89, Hyo-Oka. When Hotaru Oreki, an energy-conservative high school student, joins the Classics Club at his sister's insistence, he realizes how deeply rooted the club's history is. Oreki is reluctantly drawn into an investigation concerning the 45-year-old mystery that surrounds the club room. Along with his clubmates Satoshi Fukubi, Mayaka Ibara, and Eiyuu Shitanda, he must fight deadlines and a lack of information to uncover the truth buried beneath the dust of works created years before them, as well as other small cases. Whether it's family history, student films, or withered flowers that comprise a ghost story, Hyo-Oka shows how normal life is full of little mysteries. This anime's plot and mysteries are well crafted. There are many intriguing mysteries. This anime is also quite romantic and funny at times. It's not just the mysteries that make this anime so enjoyable. Character interaction is also a key factor. There are 4 main characters in this anime. Each character plays a different role in the mystery. At times, these roles change. It's fun to solve the mysteries. It's great to watch the characters interact. In the anime, each character also undergoes character development. It is an example of how to achieve the high school slice of life genre, as the relationships between our characters are compelling yet incredibly realistic, with each action being true to the psychology of high schoolers and how they make decisions. Number 90, Jorarara. While many strange rumors and warnings exist about anonymous gangs and dangerous individuals in Ikebukuro, one urban legend stands out above all others: the existence of a headless black rider who is said to run a jet black motorcycle through city streets. A childhood friend invites Mikado, Ryu Gamane, to move to Tokyo after he has always wanted to experience the excitement of the city. The Black Rider seems to have been granted his wishes on his first day in the city. Ordinary citizens such as him, along with Ikibukuro's most colorful inhabitants, become embroiled in the commotion erupting in the city as supernatural events begin to occur. The series contains a wide range of characters and story arcs. By far, the most interesting and amazing aspect of this anime is its characters. Mikado, the protagonist, may seem like your typical awkward male protagonist, but he actually has his own secrets. It's clear that most of the first few episodes focus on Mikado, establishing him as a lead character as well as a means of building the exposition of the series. Several story arcs begin to take shape once the pieces are in place and a great number of characters introduced before are brought into play. Besides being strong on a narrative level, it's also impressive visually and sonically. The series features art and animation that are thoroughly impressive, giving each character a unique appearance that makes an impression on the viewer. Number 91, Soul Eater. The famed Death Weapon Meister Academy is located in Death City. The academy is headed by the Shinigami, Lord Death. They are charged with raising death size for the Shinigami to use against the many evils of their fantasy world. But death scythes are not made from physical weapons. Rather, they come from human hybrids who are capable of transforming their bodies into demon weapons, and only after they have consumed 99 evil souls and 1 witch's soul. Maka Alban, a straight-laced wielder or Meister, attempts to turn Soul Eater Evans into a death scythe with the help of his demon scythe wielder, Evans. They study alongside the hot-headed Black Star and his caring weapon Tsubaki, as well as the Shinigami's own son, Death the Kid, an obsessive-compulsive dual wielder of twin pistols, Patty and Liz. The story of Soul Eater follows Shibusen students as they go on missions to collect souls and protect the city under a sneering sun while gaining soundness of mind, body, and soul after completing their missions. This sounds pretty formulaic, nothing you haven't seen before. It may seem that this is the main goal in the first few episodes, but soon after, you'll realize there is actually a deeper story developing. Soul Eater isn't a complex or clever story, but what happens during the story makes it watchable and interesting. The action is always present, and there's humor, but there can also be serious moments when required. Number 92, Free. A lover of water, Haruka Nanase has a passion for swimming. Rin Matsuoka, Nagisa Hazuki, and Makoto Tachibana competed in and won a relay race with him in elementary school. The 4 friends went their separate ways after winning the tournament. When they reunite as high school students, Rin is unconcerned with getting back to the way things used to be. It's not only that he attends a different school, but it's also that the only thing important to him is to prove that he is a better swimmer than Haruka. In the wake of their bitter reunion, Haruka, Nagisa, and Makoto decide to organize the Iwatobi High School Swim Club. However, if they desire to participate in the upcoming tournament, they'll need a 4th member. He then recruits Rei Ryugazaki, a former member of the track team. With the competition approaching, the 4 become closer while training intensively to come out on top and put an end to Haruka and Rin's conflict. While there isn't anything spectacular about the spot, it's refreshing. It's about friendship and loyalty, being able to move forward with the help of others and having faith in yourself. There is something beautiful about this series, the idea of true friendship and how friends stay together forever, the intricate characterization. An important aspect of this anime is the emotional side. A lot of the story is told through loaded gestures and hidden meanings. These elements make an otherwise simple story quite interesting.
Down, you creep!
I'm not a creep, I'm a god!
Yeah, about that!
Number 93, Norogami. You may find a strange telephone number scrawled in red if you look in the right place at the right time. You will hear the Yato god introduce himself to you if you call this number. Yato is a minor god and a self-proclaimed delivery god who dreams of having millions of followers. Nevertheless, his goals are far from being achieved without a single shrine dedicated to his name. For 5 yen apiece, he does odd jobs until his weapon partner gets tired of his useless master and deserts him. The god's fortunes change when Hiyori Iki, a middle school girl, supposedly saves him from a car accident, taking the hit for him. It's remarkable that she survives, but the event causes her soul to become loose, and so she is able to leave her body. As a response, Hiyori demands that Yato return her to normal, but upon learning he will need a new partner for this to happen, she reluctantly agrees to help him find one. Hopefully, Yato's luck will turn around with Hiyori's help.
Ooh, thank you for calling Delivery God Yato. I'm fast and affordable. Need help, you say? I'll be right there.
The plot lines in Noragami flow seamlessly with each other, both in terms of pacing and execution. It moves the story forward very quickly, save for some comic relief and character introductions here and there. It even has a few realistic dark undertones. It makes you realize how lonely living can be, how painful it is to be forgotten, and how you want to be remembered.
I'm back! Now let's bust our butts to get ready for the festival!
Number 94, K-On! A new high school year means many things, and joining a club is one of them. Yui Hirasawa is unsure of what club to join and applies to the Light Music Club, which she misunderstands to be about playing simple instruments, such as castanets. Due to her inability to play an instrument, she decides to apologize and quit. Due to a lack of members, the Light Music Club is at risk of disbanding. The club members try anything to entice Yui to join, from food to slacking off during club time. Yui refuses to stay, despite their efforts due to her lack of musical experience. Yui is finally convinced to join the club when they play a piece for her, which inspires her passionate enthusiasm. Thereafter, it's just a matter of messing around with bits and pieces of practice. A delightful time is waiting for the members of the Light Music Club. Each episode begins with a character introduction, and they entertain you with nothing but their own personalities and imaginations. In contrast to a villain who pulls all the strings, each character drives the story forward in their own way. There are many occasions in which each member of the main cast demonstrates their unique personality traits. Everyone has their own struggles and joys. When they're together, they fit well together, and their interactions are very entertaining. To put it simply, the characters are extremely polished, consistent, and enjoyable to watch and listen to. Number 95, Sakurasu no Pet Nakanojo. Sorata Kanda's good conscience and abandoned kittens force him to move into Sakura Hall, a satellite dorm at Suimaya High School, where eccentric, misfit students and residents turn his world upside down. Sorata struggles to relate to the bizarre collection of dorm occupants, which includes Mesaki, a playwright playboy, Jin, a reclusive programmer, Ryonosuke, and Chihiro, the dorm manager, art teacher, and party girl. In order to move back into the regular dorms, Sorata's friend Nanami, a second-year student who aspires to be a voice actress, urges him to find new owners for the many cats. The desire to leave Sakura Hall diminishes, however, when the pet-like and infantile second-year Mashiro Chiina, a world-class artist seeking to become a mangaka, transfer in during the spring trimester and latches onto him immediately. As a result of their quirks, Sorata and Mashiro emerge from their shells and bring change to the lives of those around them. With its ensemble cast, Sakurasu no Pet Nakanojo explores how talent, hard work, romance, and friendship are intertwined. One of the most important aspects of an anime is its story, which Sakurasu has in abundance. A lot of depth is added to the story by Sakurasu's characters. As well as the trials they face, the misfits have many small adventures and antics during their stay at Sakurasu. Over time, Sakurasu's 6 friendships grow, bonds are strengthened, and they experience fights, love, and tears. Number 96, Charlotte. On the surface, Yu Otosaka seems just like any other charming and intelligent teenager. However, he has a secret. He is able to enter people's minds and control their bodies for 5 seconds at a time. For years, Yu has used the skill to gain the best grades, which allowed him to enter a prestigious high school. Yu and his sister Ayumi are forced to transfer to Hoshinome Academy because of the enigmatic Nao Tomori, who catches him using his powers. It is up to Nao and the student council to track down adolescents who abuse their powers. The student council forces Yu to join, and together they face formidable challenges that force him to face the shocking truth that his own seemingly incomplete ability may well be much stronger than he realizes. In Charlotte, we learn about the supernatural lives of these teenagers and the cost of being special. The story takes off quickly and moves along at a fast yet steady pace, and nothing feels rushed. Superpowers in teenagers are not uncommon in anime. Charlotte, however, tries to embed these superpowers into teens' everyday lives and is successful in this. There is something about the characters that makes you like and care about them. When something sad occurs to them, you feel sad too. You continue to wonder what will happen to the characters as a result of the well-written characters, which keeps you interested throughout the rest of the story. Number 97, Angel Beats. Otonashi wakes up to find that he is dead. After being explained in the afterlife by a girl with a rifle named Yuri, Otonashi realizes that all he remembers about himself is his name. Yuri explains to him that she leads Shinda Sekai Senzen, and that she waged war against a girl named Tenshi. Otonashi is unable to accept Yuri's claims that Tenshi is evil, so he approaches her, but the encounter does not go as planned. As he joins the SSS and battles Tenshi, he finds himself strangely attracted to her. He gradually uncovers the mysteries of the afterlife as he tries to regain his memories and understand Tenshi. Angel Beats has a duality to it. The comedy part is well-timed and mostly funny. It's also quite good at slapstick comedy, and usually accompanied by unfitting music, which further heightens the comedy. Melodrama would be the other part. The backstories of most of the characters are revealed piece by piece. It's not surprising that many of the stories are depressing, torturous. The stories are not stereotypical. A common theme seems to be regret, especially those of teenagers dealing with their families, society, and everyday life. The series is unique in that there are so many characters that it can be difficult for them to all have their own personalities. Number 98, Black Clover. Both Yuno and Asta were abandoned at the church on the same day. Growing up together, they learned of the Wizard King, the strongest mage in the kingdom, and they promised to fight each other to become the next Wizard King. As they grew up, however, the stark differences between them became evident. Asta, who cannot use magic, desperately tries to awaken his powers by training physically. Yuno, on the other hand, is able to use magic with amazing power and control. When Yuno reaches the age of 15, he receives a dazzling grimoire with a 4-leaf clover, while Asta receives nothing. Yuno, however, is soon attacked by a person named Le Bayuti, who wants Yuno's grimoire. Asta attempts to fight Le Bayuti, but he is outmatched. Despite being hopeless and near defeat, he finds the strength to continue when he hears Yuno's voice. A rage-filled Asta receives a 5-leaf clover grimoire, the Black Clover, that gives him the power to defeat Le Bayuti. They both set out for the world a few days later, both striving to become the Wizard King. The story of Asta's journey is well written and extremely satisfying. We feel like we've been on this journey with Asta all along. Everyone enjoys a feel-good underdog story. There's never been a bigger underdog than Black Clover. The no-power versus all-power dynamic is evident, but their interactions with one another are smooth and unique to Black Clover. Number 99, Another. Misaki, a popular student in class 3-3 at Yomiyama North Middle School, passed away during the school year in 1972. Since then, the mysterious secrets of the town of Yomiyama have shrouded it in a fearful atmosphere. Koichi Sakakibara, a 15-year-old student at Yomiyama North, transfers into class 3-3 after 26 years and learns that a strange, gloomy mood seems to hang over all the students there. He is also drawn to Mei Misaki, a mysterious student who wears an eye patch, but the other students and the teachers treat her like she doesn't exist. Koichi, lacking any heed to warnings from anyone, including Mei herself, begins to discover the reality behind the gruesome phenomena plaguing class 3-3 of Yomiyama North. As Koichi, Mei, and their classmates are drawn into the mystery surrounding a series of inevitable and tragic events, unraveling the horror of Yomiyama may prove deadly. You'll want to keep watching this anime after each episode since it isn't entirely predictable. The mystery of Another revolves around the students of class 3-3, which is not very grandiose in scope, but the story is very intricate, suspenseful, and full of twists and turns revealed slowly during the anime. This story has great pacing, which is essential for this genre, and it's executed very well here. When you reveal too much or too little, the audience will be confused, but Another's pacing is just right for the audience and keeps the interest and tension up until the very end. Number 100, Cardcaptor Sakura. The story follows 10-year-old Sakura Kinomoto, who stumbles upon a mysterious book containing a set of cards one day. Sadly, she has little time to figure out what the cards mean, because accidentally stirring up a magical gust of wind scatters the cards everywhere. When Keroboros, nicknamed Kero-chan, is awakened from the book, he tells Sakura she has released the mystical claw cards created by the sorcerer Claw Reed. But these are no ordinary cards. The cards each have incredible powers, and because they like to act independently, Claw sealed them all in a book. The cards have now been set free, and it is up to Sakura to prevent a devastating catastrophe from occurring. Keroboros assigns Sakura the title of the Card Captor, and grants her the sealed key in return for finding and recapturing all the cards. As Sakura the Card Captor, she struggles to balance the everyday troubles of being a young girl, such as love, family, and school, while taking flight on her magical adventures with her best friend Tomoyo, Dae Dooji, and Kiro-chan. The majority of the entertainment is provided by Sakura's interactions with the characters, particularly with her guardian Keroboros and her closest friend Tomoyo, who often accompanies her to the scene of each card to record footage on her camcorder. Card Captor Sakura breathes new life into an anime genre where conventions and inspirations rule the day. The timeless classic has become one of the most influential and high-quality anime shows in recent memory. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.